sure that we'll get through our agenda quickly, and hopefully we'll be able to leave by 2 p.m. My name is Omolola Adebayo. I'm the nutrition advisor for Propcom Plus, and will be your MC for this event. So please bear with me. If I keep going on about nutrition, please bear with me as well. So before every event in Nigeria that I've been to, there's always an opening prayer. We always reverence God. So I'd like for someone to volunteer to pray for us in the Christian way and the Muslim way, please. Thank you. So I will need two people, actually, one Christian and one Muslim. Yes, madam, thank you. Good morning. Amen. Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الله لا إله إلا هو حي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الذي يشاء عنده إلا بإذنه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يديه زوما وهو علي العظيم ربنا لا تأخذنا نسينا ما رسلنا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا تحملنا قاتلنا واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. May Allah bless this our own and in gathering on the occasion, and let it be useful to all of us, and let us, Ya Allah, Ya Ghafur, Ya Rahim, take us back to our pious destination safely. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma, for praying. So once again, I want to say good morning. I'm deeply honored and delighted to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you distinguished guests gathered here today. For the momentous occasion, the Market Linkage Forum, scaling commercial access to biofortified food and crops, particularly in the context of Nigeria. Your esteemed presence among us speaks volumes about your unwavering commitment to addressing critical challenges facing our beloved nation, Nigeria, especially in the areas of nutrition, agriculture, and sustainable development. Throughout our time together, we have a unique opportunity to explore the profound impact of biofortification, a groundbreaking practice that holds the potential to enhance the nutritional content of crops, thereby combating malnutrition and improving public health outcomes. Additionally, we will delve into the vital role that market linkages play in ensuring the efficient dissemination and adoption of biofortified products, ultimately contributing to economic growth and food safety in our nation. As we embark on this collaborative journey, I implore each and every one of you to actively engage in our discussions, share your invaluable insights, and forge meaningful connections with your fellow attendees. Let us unearth the collective wisdom and expertise present in this room to chart a course towards innovative solutions that will positively impact the lives of our fellow Nigerians. Once again, I extend my deepest appreciation to each distinguished guest here today. May our deliberations lead to actionable outcomes that will help build a brighter, healthier future for Nigeria and the people. Thank you very much. I'm sure we all have the agenda, and behind me we have the background showing what the program is all about. It's a market linkage forum, and it's on scaling commercial access to biofortified foods and crops. Going on with the agenda, we have for the first speaker, we'll have our first speaker shortly, who will give the welcome address, and followed by introduction of Propcom Plus. And then there'll be a short discussion or a short presentation on what biofortification is all about and why we need it, and a business case presentation on it as well. There'll be the first panel session and a second panel session, hopefully after tea break. There'll be a plenary discussion, which I hope everybody will be involved in. There's going to be a presentation by, I believe, Gain, and then we'll be able to have the key actions and next steps towards afternoon. So with further, I would like to call upon our strategy director. She's a beautiful creature, and she's over Ugbebo. She's very humble as well. Over to you, Ovo.
Thank you very much, Omolo. Good morning, everyone. We're delighted to have you here. It's not every time you put out an invite to people and they leave their busy schedule to join you in an event. So we feel deeply honored for all those who came from within Lagos. We know coming from within Lagos is like traveling and coming into town. So we really appreciate you. For all the businesses here represented, processors, food processors, aggregators, producers, farmers group, financial institution, and every person here represented. I bring you greetings from the program and our team leader, Dr. Adia Ode, who is busy somewhere else. We think that this is a very important action to take as we get into the program. By the way, you hear a bit more about us. Please, could you put up my slide? We are a UK-funded program, and we started sometime last year, May last year, and the first 9 months of our time was really spent understanding the sector, understanding the food sector, as well as the entire agri-value chain, just to find where the value add is for us. So we're really delighted. We've, synthesized a lot of evidence, and we see a big opportunity within the biofortified and nutrition market as a means of addressing the malnutrition problem in Nigeria. So, okay. We're really delighted to have you here. You're welcome. We hope that you make the best use, we make the best use of your time, and we hope it's equally rewarding for you. We hope that you can network. We hope you can network, and the key objectives of this meeting, we'll be able to achieve that. I'd just like to read 3 main ones. The central theme is sensitization around the market opportunity in the biofortification and nutrition space as a means of addressing the malnutrition problem in Nigeria. And one key barrier we found in the 9 months of doing a lot of analysis is that there is information asymmetry in the chain. The farmers are somewhat disconnected from the people who use their products. Therefore, there's a lack of understanding of what the market requirements are. whether it's at aggregator level, processor level, there's some level of information, but that flow on how it influences what types of seeds are produced on the market, what farmers should be producing, how invested should they be on their farm size is kind of missing. And we're hoping that one of the things we'll be able to do today is get every actor to hear what they really want and what they're seeking from the market, and how our inefficiency is impacting on the other and what we might do about it. We also hope that we'll be able to discuss the barriers that each actor is facing in the chain and together find plausible solutions that we can use to address that. So you're most welcome. Thank you for coming. I hope everyone on each table has had a chance to interact with each other. But if not, let's take the next 1 minute to do so. That is if you are not sitting with your friends already or people you came with. But let's use 1 minute. Go say hello to someone you've never met. And exchange names, numbers, what you do. Yeah. Yeah, there's still some time. Okay. Okay, seems we already know each other. Okay. Your stuff is not working. Okay. I will spend the next few minutes just talking about Propcom's goals, our strategy, and on the scope of our portfolio. Highlight a bit about what the traditional approach to development looks like and what's different about the way we do it using a market-based approach. And then speak a bit about what we are looking to do within biofortification and improving nutrition. Propcom is funded by FCDO. Just to mention that it's 100% funded by the International Climate Fund. What this means is everything we do must contribute to building resilience against a changing climate, reducing greenhouse gas emission, and central to that is building economic opportunities and improving incomes. We use the market-based approach, which I'll speak about shortly. And in terms of our geographic coverage, in the north of Nigeria, we are mostly focused on improving livelihoods and building resilience against climate change. And in the south, we are prioritizing the forest-rich states, trying to reduce deforestation, working with sustainable practices and businesses that deal with deforestation-free commodities. Our target as a program, this is quite ambitious, our target as a program is to reach 3.7 million beneficiaries, both smallholders as well as businesses. And the goal is to build their resilience and improve their incomes. And very importantly, your pointer is not working. Very importantly, please look at the $126 million, 126 million pounds. We hope to leverage these by partnering with businesses and market actors. What we're simply saying is our money is very small. It's not up to one state's allocation. It's not. It's not. But by joining forces with the private sector and their capacity, we hope that we can create that multiplier effect, leveraging on your 126 million pounds. You will soon know how we plan to do this. Okay. Whatever we do, we'll be looking to address poverty, if the effect of climate change, reduce the drivers of poor nutrition by promoting nutrition-sensitive value chain, addressing policies that would enhance the systems that we're building, forming strategic partnerships with businesses primarily, and working with other actors in the chain to make sure that we are achieving the sustainable goals we're pushing, and also working to make sure the things we do does not exacerbate conflict. It's either we're doing things that reduce economically rooted sources of conflict, or we are making sure that we are not exacerbating what already exists. So how are we delivering? We're delivering through 3 key strategies. The first one, which we call a pillar, is looking at scaling proven models, whether it's Propcom that started it, whether it's happening through other organizations, where a model is proven to work. We're looking to scale that up through strategies that can drive investment into those areas. And when I say investment, I'm talking about private sector investment. And then through our resources in Pillar 2, we're looking to pilot innovations that address the bottleneck within established business models, or innovations that help with improving adaptation to the effect of climate change. And then through our Pillar 3, we're looking to promote business enabling environments, policy reforms that can help drive and strengthen the markets that exist. And we have an opening portfolio. This is not exhaustive. This is what we have analyzed over the last 9 months. And as we go, it's an 8-year program. There will be new portfolios included, old ones taken out. But for starters, we are working on poultry and livestock development. We're working on BIOFORTIFIED, fortified crops delivery. We're trying to promote access to climate-smart variety, extension services, sustainable forest and land use governance, and then all the other cross-cutting issues around technology, finance, and the rest of it. So what would traditional development do? This thing is limiting me. When we think about the issue of malnutrition, traditionally, we would say, oh, the burden of the disease is high. We don't have enough government funding to address the problem. We need government to invest a bit more. The intervention coverage is very limited, which is indeed true. So it becomes a challenge. You're saying, oh, we don't have enough RUTF. We don't have enough interventions to cover all of Nigeria. We should be handing out MMS. We should do this and we should do that. And we also then say, oh, this intervention, that intervention. That's the traditional approach to wanting to address the problem. Whereas the real issue is really linked to nutrition transition and is dependent on a number of things that are slightly removed from the problem we're trying to solve. One of those is the food system. This is why we have brought all the actors in the food system to sit down here and talk about it. And the second important factor, of course, within the food system is about the production, farmers and the seeds. It's about the processors who transform it. It's about the distribution and the environment around it. So the macro environment, the policies and all. But the other most important part is about consumer behavior, which is what is typically not considered when interventions, when we try to solve a problem, when we don't look at the root cause. We typically would say, you need to take this, it's good for you. You need to take this, it's good for you. Exercise is good for us, but I don't even exercise. So, but that top-down approach does not allow us to get to the root of the matter. The root of the matter sits with the food system, so it's about the food market, and it's about the consumer, understanding how consumers behave and how they will consume. This is what businesses, fast-moving consumer goods businesses, have mastered. They know how to understand what consumers want, and they position all manner of things, whether good or bad. This is why cigarettes is interesting and everything. They understand that and then use that to position everything else. So it's about the availability, convenience, their cultural practices, and all of that. That's the root of the matter. This is the reason why we use a market-based approach. Really understanding the root causes and aligning with those to be able to address the problem. So the solutions you see at the top is not reflective of market drivers, the food system and the consumer. Those are the those are the two factors that drive consumption and the change in what people will take for their intake. Also, because of that disconnect, the commercial supply chains for these things remain underdeveloped. Last year, when we did an analysis, there are over 100 brands of cereals in stores. Over 100 brands of cereals in stores. New brands that have come in the last 3-4 years. Imagine if the whole movement around biofortification is situated in the hands of the private sector. They know how to get products to the shelf, and they know how to get people to consume them. So imagine you form that alliance and you are working in that regard. Anyway, let me not speak for them. They'll speak for themselves today. So we think that it's about one of the root issues. It's about a segmentation and targeting issue. There will be people who due to economic reasons will not be able to afford the right type of diet. How about properly segmenting those vulnerables and targeting interventions to these ones, whilst there's a much stronger market-based approach that looks at getting affordable products to the last mile. So, I have just used that tree to explain how we operate. So what does this mean in reality as Propcom, using the market-based approach? We look at the constraints. Why is the food market not addressing the nutrition needs of people? Because malnutrition is about what you consume or what is available for you to consume. Why is the food market not addressing the nutrition needs of people? Why are businesses not responding to it? Why isn't the market or the environment providing the innovation that will get people to consume it? Why are the poor deriving this nutritious foods from the market? We have assumed that people of low economic status do not engage in markets. That's not true. They engage in markets one way or the other. So based off of the deep understanding of how and why markets is not addressing their problems, we then go to speak to the actors themselves. Why are you not serving that market? Who are the actors that should serve that market? Thankfully, some of them are here. Who are the actors that should serve that market? Do they have the willingness to exploit the market opportunity? Do they have the skill to do so? Where can we play? Can we help them build the skill? Because willingness, you can't help somebody to get the will. There must be a willingness. But can we support that skills building so that they can do what they do better to create a more inclusive market? So they could be aggregators, they could be agribusinesses, processors, research institutions, whoever the actor is that can address the issue. We go to understand their willingness and their skills to do so and work with those actors by co-creating the solutions and investing in solutions that get more poor people or people at the bottom of the pyramid to get access to these things in a dignified way, not handouts. Not handouts. We know that market can solve the problem of everybody, but it can solve the problem of the majority of people. So we shouldn't treat everyone as people who need handouts. It takes away their dignity. It is about aligning products in a way that they can afford it. That's why you have 50 naira credits today, 100 naira credits. It is still you making the choice and the decision to do. And then, of course, what is our role? We don't hand out things to people. We work with the actor to strengthen the chain, to deliver the service in a way that it continues to deliver it. That's the summary of it. What are the tools we bring to the table? Linkage, which is what we are doing today or hope to achieve today. We can de-risk with grants, where it's addressing a core problem that can help the business engage with the market better. Advocacies, capacity building, and sharing evidence. We hope that we can share some evidence that will be useful to everyone here today. So this is the scope of what Propcom is doing or going to do in biofortification, because we just started. We just got our project implementation approved last week after 9 months of inception, so we are on the go now and ready to get into partnership with people. Our vision for improving nutrition is to facilitate the industrial use of biofortified foods as a part of commercialization. Thankfully, there are a lot of people that have set the foundation. All the programs that have been there, Harvest Plus, Gain, we need to acknowledge them because they've done a lot of work there. We are just going to build on the work they're doing using the approach that we have here. And there are priority crops. So actors who play and use crops like vitamin A maize, iron pearl millets, zinc fortified rice, groundnuts, cowpea, all the nutrient-dense food products. We will be promoting those, or we'll be prioritizing this crop because we know that they have the potential to improve or address nutrition. So what's the scope of what we look to do? One, support businesses to facilitate the marketing and awareness for this finished product. Help businesses to build their supply chain by strengthening aggregation. Make sure that what processors need is aligned with what seed companies are putting in the market. I'm happy today that there are farmers here who want to produce. And there are seed producers here who have issues around selling. And there are processors here who will tell us what they are looking for in the market. So we hope that ultimately what we do, we contribute to that alignment between producing demand-led seeds that processors are looking for, so that farmers know what processors are looking for and are willing to buy your seeds. We also hope to leverage partnerships with existing bodies that are doing a lot of work on nutrition, so that we can lend our voice, sharing the evidence that we see. And of course, the key partners are businesses. Our priority is really business and working with the environment, the enabling and supporting the enabling environment. In terms of targets, it is about your business targets, and it is about what Nigeria is trying to aim at when it comes to improving nutrition. So we don't have a project target that is independent of what you businesses want to do or independent of the overall goal of the country. What our role is to help with our investment to make sure that everyone is achieving its goal. Malnutrition situation is brought down, and you're achieving your business aim at the same time. I hope I haven't spent more than... MC, it's your turn. But yeah, I acknowledge everyone here. I know there's NASCO here represented, Haliko, Flour Mills, Adrena, Effects, farmer groups from Gombe, Adamawa, Kano, Jigawa, Silvex, and a few other companies. We'll just continue to acknowledge you as we go. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. So the next item on the agenda is the biofortification presentation. It's going to be really brief so that we are not taking up too much time. Is it? So I have a really short time in explaining what biofortification is. So I'll just start, if you don't mind, so that we don't take too much of your time. So biofortification, as we know it, is the word bio, meaning life, and fortification, adding nutrients to food. So usually fortification, food nutrients are physically added to food, but with regards to biofortification, it's while it's growing, it's in that seed or vine or plant, so to speak. But before that, why fortification? What caused it? What brought about it? One of the things we understand about nutrition or about coming together as in this sort of forum is when there is a problem. In Nigeria, when there's a problem, we gather all family members to trash out the problem. And the problem here is malnutrition, that is bad nutrition in this sense, or not enough of it with regards to undernutrition. When we think about undernutrition, you're thinking about stunting, you're thinking about micronutrient deficiencies. So just to bring numbers to us, I want you to imagine you counting 3 children from anywhere in Nigeria and knowing that one of those children is chronically malnourished or chronically, malnourished. That means that that child for a very long time has not been getting sufficient amount of high caloric and micronutrient dense food. So you might be wondering again, why? I mean, what happened? Why is this happening? For various reasons, but we just want to look at the food system for today. But what does this mean to any child? It means that that child is probably, or rather the chronic malnutrition can increase the risk of child mortality. That is, it can cause 45%, or the child is likely to have some infection or to die of preventable diseases, and at 45%. So take, for instance, anemia, which, because we're considering micronutrients, because we're considering biofortification, I took an example of anemia, that is iron deficiency caused by anemia, or iron deficiency caused anemia. Anemia, I think we're quite conversant with it. When a woman is pregnant, she's given iron supplements to prevent anemia. And despite that, when a survey was conducted in between 2019 and 2021, this was the result. Anemia was found within a range of 86% of pregnant women, despite still being given iron supplements. And then it was also found in women of reproductive age. It was found in 55%, it was present. Now to you, these are high. So that means that for every 55 women we count in Nigeria out of 100 we are getting they're anemic. Pregnant women, 86 of them out of 100 are anemic. And why? These are really, they are numbers, but they are scary numbers, because each of these person can, especially children, can be impaired cognitively. That means that they're not going to be able to attain their full potential in terms of their cognitive development, not doing so well in school, not being able to learn to trade, etc. And it also affects them physically, because what anemia does is, enough hemoglobin is not present in the blood to carry oxygen around, so it makes the person tired. And in most cases in pregnant women, it causes mortality, and in children, it causes infant mortality. So it is a rather grave number, statistics, and there is something, and that's why we are here, to discuss how we can help to ensure that biofortified foods are made available in the markets, are accessible to everyone. Biofortification, I explained earlier, is the process of breeding essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients during the growth of the plant. So as a result of the micronutrient deficiencies, over 20 years ago, a group of scientists, nutritionists, development workers thought we have to find a cost-effective way of combating micronutrient deficiency. And one of the strategy was on biofortification. And one of the first was the orange flesh sweet potato. And I still recall, while in school, people pursuing this for sub-Saharan Africa. And when I look around, I'm still wondering where we can get orange flesh sweet potato, but they are available. In Nigeria, we have orange flesh sweet potato, we have orange cassava, we have grains that are biofortified. We have sorghum, which is biofortified or is rich in iron. It's rich in, then we have sorghum, which is rich in iron and zinc, and we have beans as well. So swiftly moving on, we have misconceptions, and the misconception, I'm sure we'll get into that later on, but I just want to quickly browse through it. I'm not going to go into details because that will be dealt with in full. But the misconception is that it's GMO. The misconception is it's unsafe. The misconception is it's unnatural. It's the singular solution to malnutrition. It's inaccessible to small farmers, and it lacks consumer acceptance. I'm going to stop here because I know that this will be dealt with later on. So thank you very much for listening. I will now call on Pon Bodi Obajulu for the business case presentation. Please welcome Bodi.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, companies, organizations here represented. Thank you for honoring our invite. My name is Osibodi Obajulu. I'm technical lead for Pillar 1 at Propcom Plus. So as my colleague mentioned earlier, Propcom has 3 pillars. So I'm the technical lead for one of those pillars. And that pillar is looking at scaling proven interventions and raising investments around those interventions. So today really is about you. Today is not about us as a program. Today is about you. We want to hear from you. We want to, get insights from you, understand your pain points, and see how we can co-create and develop sustainable solutions around biofortified foods and crops. So I'm going to be really brief because we have spent a lot of time. We started late due to some logistical issues. So I'm going to be really brief so that we can hear from you, the businesses. So I'm just going to start with an overview of the Nigerian foods market. So revenue in Nigerian foods market currently stands around 263 billion US dollars. What that means is that Nigeria has a very large foods market. And within that foods market, nutrient-dense foods contribute to over 100 billion. So each and every member of this session here, each company represented here, is a partaker of this revenue, directly or indirectly. And as we can see, the market is still expected to grow. So our compounding annual growth rate is around 12.6%. So this market is expected to grow. And your actions will determine how much of that growth you partake in. And then I'm just going to talk about the market share by category so that I paint a clearer picture in your mind. So when we look at confectionaries, breads and cereals, these products are grain-based. So it's mostly maize, rice, millet, etc. These products are grain-based. And they contribute to 40% of the market share. So that's around 100 billion. So each and every one of you here is contributing $100 billion to the revenue of this market. We also have a growing segment for spreads and sweeteners, to which peanuts contribute significantly to. And then overall, Nigeria requires around 28 million metric tons of grains. However, our current production is only around 21, 22 million metric tons. What that means is that there is a shortfall of 6 million tons. For businesses such as yourselves, what does that mean for you? It means this is a missed opportunity. It means this is money that is going into the wrong pockets. Because what happens here is that this shortfall is being filled by either importation, smuggling, etc. And for businesses such as yourself, that means more money for you to spend. So it's just something that I want us to think about. So, and even for the farmers as well, how can we contribute to bridging this gap? Because bridging this gap also means more money in your own pockets. And then I'll quickly dive into the state of malnutrition in Nigeria. So my colleagues have touched on malnutrition a lot, so I'm not going to go too much into information here. However, there's something that is really critical. Our economic losses due to malnutrition currently stand at $1.5 billion annually. So we're losing $1.5 billion as contributions to our GDP due to malnutrition, because we have over 50 million persons in Nigeria who are at risk of malnutrition. So if we're looking at a population of 200 million people, it means 1 out of every 4 persons in Nigeria is at risk of malnutrition. For you as a business owner, I would like us to think of that as a potential market. Meaning of every 4 persons on the street, 1 person is a new customer for you as a business. So we have malnutrition in Nigeria, just showing what states are mostly at risk of malnutrition. So it's mostly prevalent somewhere around the northeast, northwest, north central. We also have cases down south as well. Now, what this means is that we need to create targeted interventions to these specific states that have high prevalence of malnutrition. So for you as a business owner, what kind of strategies do you develop to ensure that you reach these markets, because malnutrition is usually seen as a problem, but I want us to see it as a market. So these are potential markets for your products. These are potential customers. This is extra revenue for your business. So I want us to change our thinking. And then what are the drivers of malnutrition? We've spoken a lot about malnutrition, and I'll just talk about the drivers of malnutrition. You know, in our minds, we normally think, oh, malnutrition is an economic problem, but it's usually not. That's why I have that in a very small circle there, because malnutrition is usually not. The main driver of malnutrition is not economic problems. One of the main drivers of malnutrition is high consumption of staples. So Nigerians were used to consuming what we produce. And these staples that we consume are high in starch and low in micronutrients. So if we continue to consume what we produce, we will be at risk of malnutrition. And then there's also the issue of lack of awareness. So there's an awareness problem. People don't know. People just, grow what they grow, eat what they grow. And then there's also the issue of unavailability. But unavailability is seen from the lens of what are our cultural nuances to consumption. So certain persons in the north are used to eating certain foods. In the south, they are used to eating certain foods, maybe cassava, etc. In the north, they are used to eating grains, rice, millet, sorghum, etc. So there are cultural nuances to consumption. That is a driver of malnutrition. And then also, there are dietary preferences. People just like to eat different things. So I'm going to now make a case for biofortification, just very briefly, as a means of addressing the problem of malnutrition, as seeing biofortification as a new market to explore. So biofortification, as my colleague mentioned earlier, it improves the micronutrient quality of food crops. It's cheaper to implement other than fortification or other supplementation models. Biofortification is cheaper to implement. You can reach rural communities. We have lots of farmers here. Once the seeds get to them, they can plant, grow their grains, consume those grains. So it has a wide rural reach. And then it's also sustainable, because it's not like interventions that we are used to, which are handouts. This is a more sustainable approach. There are cases of successes of biofortification across Africa. I just said to highlight two. So in Zambia, for vitamin A maize, so this was mostly private sector led. So technical assistance was provided to seed farmers. Then they used the pool system where the food processors created a demand in the market for these biofortified crops. And then awareness campaigns were carried out with farmers so they know what to plant. They understand that there is a demand for this from XYZ processor. What that resulted in is, in Zambia now, we have over 300,000 farming families who now produce vitamin A maize. Similarly, in Rwanda, farmer outreach programs were conducted. They used a payback system to incentivize the farmer. Say, okay, you produce, then you get certain X amount premium on your grains. And then the seed sector was fully developed. The results in Rwanda shows that there are over 800,000 farming families who now produce iron beans. 29% of farmers in Rwanda produce iron beans. So there are also similar successes in Africa, in Kenya, in Ghana, in South Africa. So it's a proven model, something that we can do. But we need to hear from you. How do we approach this? What are your challenges around it? So now we talk about biofortification in Nigeria, but I'll just touch on it very briefly. So there's a growing popularity in Nigeria. However, this market is not yet fully tapped. So in Nigeria, we produce now currently about 1.7 million metric tons of vitamin A maize. But what will surprise you to know is that this demand is not driven by human consumption. This demand for vitamin A maize is driven by demand from the livestock feed millers. So how do we, as businesses, convert this growing popularity of vitamin A maize into demand for human consumption. That is an untapped market. I'll just briefly touch on interventions around malnutrition. So UNICEF currently procures around 80% of RUTF across the world. And between 2009 and 2020, about $84 million worth of RUTF has been imported into Nigeria by UNICEF and distributed across various localities. However, RUTF as a product is not something that you will find on the shelf. It's not something you find where people, especially in rural communities, usually seek their health. In Nigeria, we have over 35,000 primary health care centers and over 200,000 patent and medical vendors. However, RUTF as a product is not getting to these markets because malnutrition is still being treated as an intervention. We are still being reactive. We are not being preventive. But when you go to these stores, what you will find, you'll find ORS. You'll find sachet water. How have these people been able to reach those markets? How have they been able to reach the last mile? So we need to rethink how we approach biofortification. But we'd love to hear from you as a business. So my question as I wrap up to you as businesses, what do we need to do to see those 50 million at-risk persons as a potential market for affordable, high-quality, nutrient-dense foods? What do we need to do as businesses to see 50 million persons as a potential market? And how do we get these nutrient-dense foods to the last mile using those atypical chains that I spoke about, primary healthcare centers, patent and medical vendors? How do we get these products to the last mile? Thank you very much. I've come to the end of my presentation. So at this juncture, I would like to call on Dr. Fobi Olapeju. Dr. Fobi has worked in the nutrition space in Nigeria for 2 decades now. She has vast experience in this sector. So she will be anchoring the first panel session. The candidates for the first panel session will be called upon. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you to the previous speakers. Thank you very much. Okay. So this section will be having like a panel discussion. One thing that I really like about the strategy director, if there is anything that I took from that with the last speaker, that I took from the talk, is the fact that it's high time we're involving businesses, food industries, processors in the fight against malnutrition. That's a very good take home for everybody, for me as a person, and I want to pass it to you. Previously, it has always been, we're fighting it by ourselves. Farmers come, policymakers come, and all that. In our just concluded national survey in Nigeria, we found out that over 80% of what we eat at home are purchased. We live on, there is heavy reliance on purchased foods. So, meaning that food industries, you are a key driver of whatever status of malnutrition or malnutrition that Nigeria has today. And even outside Nigeria, you are a key stakeholder, you are a key determinant, you are a key driver. So this section will be looking at some businesses, processors and aggregators to come here and tell us their view, their opinion, their perspectives around nutrient-dense, biofortified foods. Do they know it? Have they been dealing with it? Or what can they do differently henceforth? So I will be calling on, they know themselves, but I'm still going to call them out, representatives of, we have two groups of stakeholders here. In the panel, we have the aggregators and we have the food processors. You know yourselves. Agri-AC, the representatives just come and take your seat. Can we just give her a round of applause as she come up? Then Tribe Agric, all right? Keep clapping. Afex or FX. Wow, good. Dollar Foods. Is Dollar Foods here? No. Halilco. Oh, good. Thank you. Flour Mills. Am I missing anyone out again? I think that's all. So thank you very much. It's a rare privilege. Sorry, I think I will change this thing. Yeah, I'm talking to that. It's a rare privilege to have you here representing food industry sector. And we will really love to have your honest opinion, share your experience where you can, and let's have a robust discussion that will drive next steps for Propcom and stakeholders. Thank you very much. And you will introduce yourself, but there is a unique way that we want the introduction to set the pace for the discussion. In the introduction, please, you tell us your name. Yeah? Take notes. Your name, the name of your organization or your industries that you are representing. Number 2, then you tell us what exactly you do in your company. If you're an aggregator, you tell us you're an aggregator, what do you aggregate on? If you're a food processor, what are your products? The Honorable House wants to know what you're doing so that at the end of the day, she mentioned networking. Will we be able to network? You don't know what, maybe I have tons of product that I'm looking for supplier. Anything can happen at the end of the day. Thank you very much. So we start with, we say, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll start from the gentlewoman on the extreme end. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dana Mayaki. I'm the CEO and co-founder of AgriAC, not AgriAC.
AgriAC.
We are not aching agriculture. We are AgriAC actually means origin of agriculture. So what we are doing is digitizing commodity trading and payments in agriculture. We are very technology oriented and we fall under the aggregation part of the value chain. We currently have been in business for over 3 years and have been in the staple value chain, so rice, soya, maize, sorghum, and now wheat. And we're currently expanding into cash crops. We are in significant locations across Nigeria, including about 7 states in Nigeria today. Yes.
So thank you very much, AgriAC. Next, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Okay, this is better. My name is Oshone Anabe. I am Vice President of Operations at Tribe Agric. Tribe Agric, we aggregate, but I'll just speak about Tribe Agric in general, what we do. We essentially are an agri-tech company, working to solve the issues that stop smallholder farmers from, getting scale. So which is access to credit, access to market, extension services. So we work with smallholder farmers, giving them inputs to produce. Some of our partners are here, by the way. Good to see everyone. We also do a lot around market access, which is the aggregation part of it. and we work with a lot of like partners, off-takers, food processors, feed millers. We also do a lot around extension services, having maybe today, say, 1,500 people on the field, working across close to 20 states in Nigeria. We work with hundreds of thousands of smallholder farmers today. We also do around, well, I won't say a lot, really. As she wants me to say, it's just managing the operations across the country. So, and today we are in Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya, and looking at expanding across Africa as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Good one. Next, please. Hi, City. We're having you here. Can you please come to our aid?
I think it's the only lady's mic that is working. So thank you very much, everyone. My name is Adeni Adenuga. I work with AFEX. So I lead the fish and poultry sector in the country. About AFEX, we've transitioned from what we started with as a warehousing aggregation company today. We are now into the entire value chain or ecosystem that has to do with commodities in terms of financing. Of course, we are leveraging heavily on tech, but also we are also leveraging heavily on access to finance. We are into the major grains in Nigeria, and of course cash crops, cocoa, cashew. For the portfolio that I lead, I work with maize, soya beans, rice paddies, sorghum, millet, and also kneeling to with our solution is to generally link farmers. That's very one unit. That's our SI unit. That one smallholder farmer leveraging on our platform, which is an exchange. We are still building that exchange platform.
Foods. We are a grains processing and food manufacturing company based in Kano, and we specialize mainly in the processing of millets. And this is a perfect environment right now as we are tapping into the iron per millets, processing of biofortified millets, and scaling up the production of such products, biofortified products in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, my name is Anthony Job. I work with Flour Mills of Nigeria, PLC. I'm head of agronomy and seed production. Flour Mills, we have food processors. We have so many products, flour, cereal, and like. So we are looking at, using biofortified crops now and produce, and that's why I'm here at this discussion. Thank you.
Okay, I'm quoting you. You are looking into biofortifying flour mills.
Yeah.
Quotable quotes. Please, note taker, take note of that. You know, the interesting thing about this group is the fact that you have multiple crops that you are dealing with.
That we are building an exchange. So our customers are in two fronts, the farmers and then the processors. And the exchange model is as simple as creating that marketplace where we can guarantee the volume, also give price transparency. In terms of the farmers, the farmer, of course, will be around the commodities that we're playing, which I've listed. Being an exchange, that meant that we are now regulated by the Security and Exchange Commissions. So all of the commodities that we are trying to use to unlock that finance has to also be regulated by Security and Exchange Commissions. Now, on the processor side, we work across with majority of the key processors and feed millers in Nigeria.
Feed millers?
Yes,
Okay.
that utilize these commodities as their own raw materials. Interestingly, in one of the presentations that was done, which I noted down, and we are getting to a point in Nigeria that it's important that we start to get the data right. He said the data were correct, but again, there are other things that we now start to factor in. He said that Nigeria required 27 million metric tons of grains, which is right. But the one I had an issue with, which I was not sure was correct, was that as of today, we produce 21 million metric tons.
You produce what?
That we produce 21 million metric tons.
Annually.
And I asked myself the question that if we produce 21 million metric tons, why do we have so much of the food
because 21
shortage?
by 27, that's like 80%.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was just asking myself, and I'm not even coming from the angle of human consumption. I'm coming from the angle of the raw material requirements. Because as of today, the experience of feedback from the raw material, and I'm sure flour mills and other processors will attest to it, that one of the major shortages they have today is raw material, which is attributed to the significant increased cost. For maize, between last year and this year, we can be talking about almost 150, approximately, not up to or less, in terms of cost. That 50% increase in the cost of that.
Okay.
Exactly. And a lot of the processors today, apart from the liquidity challenges that they face, they can't even find availability of that raw material.
Okay, so there is you are not able to meet demand?
So, in essence, what I'm saying is that sometimes I feel that we are not actually producing up to that amount that we claim that we are producing. And even if we are, maybe we are now not looking at the other indices that affect these factors of production. In recent times, more than ever, we've had farmers not being able to go back to the farm to harvest. So it's high time we start to quantify that percentage. And I think that's a tax to all of us, not just farmers, not just the government, but also private sectors too. Because until we get to that point, it will be really difficult to now start to, whatever I say here would not be that tangible. Again, more than ever, climate change is affecting our cycle of production, our cycle of harvest, the way, and unfortunately the market is, how do I put it now? It's continuous. We are all adjusting, whether systematically right or systematically wrong, but everybody is adjusting to it, but it's having a ripple effect impact on the small scale order farmer. Case in point for soya beans, and by the time, for today, significant harvest, there's no supply, I don't know, for soya beans available in the market as much as it used to be.
Okay.
And when I was talking to some farmers, they were talking about, for them, it was the delayed rains affected some of them. For them, the quality in terms of when they harvested, it was rains just ended. They didn't get enough sunlight to probably dry effectively. The quality of the commodity at the end of the day. It's now becoming a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So in terms of the volumes that we do, and that's why I started from that supply gap analysis that at FX, as of today, in the last 2 years, I can say we've traded about 600,000 metric tons of commodities across the key commodities that we do. This year, 1,000 metric
that's
tons.
0.6 million tons.
Yes,
Okay.
in the last 2 years.
In
Our
the
target
last
for
2
this year was actually about
No, this
1.
year is fresh. So
Yeah, I'm just saying.
In retrospect.
In retrospect,
it's
so
better.
why I want to share that is so that we also just have a grasp of the potential of what we are looking at. At FX, we are looking at about 1.2.
Just one more thing before I move to your colleagues there.
Oh, okay.
You didn't say much about your customers.
So I mentioned
In terms
it's all
of
the
meeting their requirements, their demand, yes, you mentioned there is low, demand or higher demand that you can meet, right?
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
Then what are their requirements and why this inability to meet up with this demand before we move to the other?
So, in terms of the requirement of our customers, it depends on the sector that they play in. For feeds and poultry, it's the grains, maize, soya beans, millet. In the breweries, it's the sorghum.
Is there anything in particular that they want?
So
type, color,
at the scale
specification.
that we are, they have a national accepted quality parameters that is required. Maybe I'll use the opportunity to touch in for when that question of BIOFORTIFIED maize, that who is benefiting? Is it
We're coming to that. We're coming. The next round of questions we'll take care of that.
Okay.
So, try Agric, any contribution? Your sales volume higher, less, times?
Okay. I think
triple, double?
No, it's not double. I know he has spoken a lot already, and I think I'll just delve on two things. First is requirements. I think since we're speaking on biofortification, personally, I don't think there's that strong, stringent requirement to say, okay, an off-taker, 100,000, 200,000. It depends on the year, really, and the demand. So for me, it's more of like the gap is so wide. It shows you that, and also farmers prefer to produce maize that is not necessarily pro-vitamin A because there's really no incentive. So part of the things I'll just touch is the awareness. Personally, I think maybe when we come to that later, the awareness is something that is different. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. That's helpful. Madam Agric Arc. Any addition? Okay.
I'd say the experiences are same.
They're the same, okay. And your sales volume?
So roughly about 20% of what FX is doing now for the past 3 years. FX is like a decade old, so we are catching up nicely. Again, for just to add to what Oshane has said, from my experience, really there's nobody asking for vitamin A fortified maize or iron pearled beans or this. It's nice to have, right? And I strongly think that the retail market isn't asking for that. That is why they are not asking for that.
Fantastic.
And also there are no quality control systems to help validate what has been supplied to that retail market. I have a lot to say concerning that, but maybe I'll just reserve my comments. But I strongly feel that, like Oshane said, that advocacy, the same way we are influencing for other things, we need to influence for these things. And a lot of collaboration with maybe national orientation or stuff like that, just to orientate the public. If not, we'll be here for longer than we expect. I mean, I'm eating rice, I'm eating pasta, I'm eating everything every day. I don't know if I'm eating chaff. All I know is that I get full and I go along the way, and I try to compensate with vitamins and stuff, and that's because I'm educated enough to do that. But then the normal Nigerian, especially with the economic climate, the way it is right now, who cares? Just for the lack of a better word, who really cares what they have to do? And this is why we are here to ensure that at least we can fill up those gaps, because that is not their responsibilities else. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That is really, really wonderful. Thank you for the first-hand experience that we shared. Thank you, aggregators. So we move to the processors. Processors, the Make It Happen group. Now we like to ask, and I want to start from my flour mills. What grains or legumes-based product do you have in your portfolio that you mill in your company? You mentioned some, but we would like to have more exhaustive list of what you do around grains or legumes. Then how are you engaged with biofortified crop? Okay, produce, you already said that you plan to do it. Maybe you will echo it. And what is the plan? Aha. You want to biofortify soybean or what? We want to know that. And what are your current challenges? I know aggregators mentioned it briefly. What are your current challenges as processors now with demand for biofortified crops? Have you been having them, or is nil? How is it with you, flour mills?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me start with the crops that we use. Wheat, which is like the major one,
Yes.
followed by maize, then sorghum, millet, soybeans. So those are the key crops.
It's like you put them in order of...
No, not necessarily in order. Okay, order of importance, I would say wheat,
Yeah.
Followed by maize,
Okay.
then soybean,
Yes.
then sorghum, then millet, in order of importance. Like, for instance, we use about 605,000, metric tons.
605,000 metric tons annually, monthly, quarterly?
Sorry, okay, 605 metric tons, yeah. 605,000 annually.
Annually.
Yes, so that's a large demand, and a lot of that comes from the livestock feed division.
Okay, the maize that you mill is targeted to livestock industry.
Mostly, and of course we have a breakfast cereal, Amazing Day, which we also use a lot of maize in that.
Okay.
Then in terms of, I think the second one was about, sorry, please remind me again.
How are you engaged with biofortified crops?
Okay, so for now, at the moment, we don't use biofortified crops. Like, we fortify. We add fortificants to...
You have premix.
Yes,
you
we
add
premix. Vitamin A.
And that is mandatory.
Acid.
Nigeria is mandatory.
Yes.
You are fortifying the vehicle, but you are not using fortified raw material.
No, we just add, vitamin A, iron, zinc, folic acid, B vitamins.
So what's the plan
all our products
in the nearest future?
Yes, so the plan is to start to use a lot of biofortified crops. We are currently working on a strategy.
You are already working on the strategy?
Currently, yes. Okay. To start to aggregate, this biofortified crops. Of course, working with partners,
which of the crops are you looking into?
Okay, so for now, I would say maize, and
maize.
sorghum.
Okay.
Yes, because those...
Iron and iron.
Yes,
sorghum.
yes. Okay, and so the idea is, to, apart from the fact that, of course, this is natural, it also helps to really reduce costs, because these fortificants, they are imported.
They are imported, yeah.
Yes, and that's a lot of USD, and, looking at the current exchange rates and that, it's billions annually going just to that fortification, so it's something that we are currently working on.
So if I get you, Propcom, let's note this, the driver for the shifts, for thinking of making a shift into biofortified crop is costs, production costs, premix, to be precise. They want to conserve their USG. Forex is now 1,800 to $1 to $1. So that cost is the driving factor. But I don't know if I'm speaking of, but I'm speaking from angle of nutrition. Please let nutrition again be another factor to it that we are producing it here. It's rich in vitamin A. It's working elsewhere. Let it be another driver of that initiative.
Yes, definitely. We are also trying to increase, local content, local
Thank you very
sourcing
much.
of materials and that. Then, okay, sorry. I think you also said, why are we not presently demanding?
Yes.
Okay, so just like I said, the biofortified market, it has to be structured.
Structured.
Because the truth is that you can hardly tell provitamin A maize from...
Note taker, please. There is need to structure biofortified crop markets.
Yeah. So you can't tell provitamin A maize from just yellow maize, yes, because fine provitamin A maize is also called orange maize, but that's not, the presence being orange enough does not guarantee that it has high level of provitamin A, exactly. Yeah. So let me digress a little bit. I'm a plant breeder actually, so it has to do with the presence or absence of some particular genes that shoot up the provitamin A level. Being just orange maize, face value, does not usually guarantee more than maybe 3 micrograms per gram, for instance, of provitamin A. So we have to be sure that, this is provitamin A maize that is going to be supplied. And there has to be a lot of checks and balances to ensure, the aggregation, quality control, all of that. So while we're able to work on that in time, that would definitely lead to more demand of...
Thank you very much. That's fantastic to hear. Don't worry, when you want to start, just talk to Propcom. They will link you appropriately with the right source. Thank you. Halil Cole. Okay. So, no? Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, Kasua.
Como é lá, now?
It's okay, sir. What can you say about what your colleague said in terms of, number one, the grain or the legume that you produce at Alilco? Then how you engage with biofortified crops? And what are your current challenges with demand for biofortified crop?
Okay, thank you for your question.
Yeah.
So, okay, at the moment, we are actually processing iron pearl millets into millet-based akamu, cocoa, pap. So we started working with Harvest Plus last year on working directly with farmers. Okay. So we purchased seeds from Premier Seeds and BIOFORTIFIED millet seeds, the iron pearl millet, and we supplied the farmers. This was, let's say, last May, last year. And during the harvest season, we discovered that the yield was so high compared to conventional millets that the farmers started to hoard, and they refused to sell back to us. It's good and bad. It's good to see that there is a lot of positive
and they
advantages.
Are iron fortified.
Iron per millet, exactly. Specifically speaking, Chakti and Jirani strains. So we discovered that's something we had to learn from, and we are implementing it now. So we purchased around 1,800. This is Halico Foods, also in partnership with Rural Resilience. We purchased 1,800 kg of Jirani fortified seeds again, but this time we're doing a specific approach with the farmers, that farmers who have larger lands, that means if you give them, for example, let's say 4.5 kg per farmer who can, let's say, yield for you 15 bags, they will agree to sell at least 4 to 5 bags. And you tell them, keep the rest, sell it, eat it, do whatever you want. And then we are also sharing for other farmers, specifically speaking, 1,800 farmers, we give them 0.5 kg, which will yield around 1 bag and a half, and they keep it.
Good.
So we're kind of also pushing it, marketing it, so that the more you are getting the awareness of the iron per millet, that it has higher yield, they will automatically demand for it.
Fantastic.
This is what I haven't heard anyone speak about that with the vitamin A maize. So I don't know. I don't have much experience there. But with the per millet, there is higher yield. Even in production, where we are producing our cocoa, 30% more flour, the actual cocoa flour.
Even the flour yields.
So now I don't want to use conventional millets.
Oh my God, please, let's give him a round of applause for that. This is a good success story, I must commend
But of course, battling the malnutrition is our main focus. So we operate mainly in the Northeast. We have 80% of our sales of products in the Northeast. And our farmers are based, 1,000 farmers in Yobe, 1,000 farmers in Gombe. And amongst them, there's around 600 female farmers. We're trying to push, the gender inclusivity, and get more female farmers on to also collaborate with. And so yes, we just began this activity. We are training farmers, GAPS training, good agronomic practices, how to properly, get the best yield for these fortified seeds. And then during the harvest season, by God's grace, we will try to, aggregate, purchase back from them on premium price as well. And just to touch upon the cost, when the thing happened last harvest season, the price of conventional millets was, let's say, around 25 to 35, but the biofortified, some were hoarding and some were selling at 50.
Oh my.
You see, and it's understandable. They saw the value, in it, and some are keeping it so they can replant it this harvest season. So that's our experience with the biofortified iron pearl millets.
Okay, that's really fantastic. You see that motivation there, the yield. At crop level, at grain level, even at flour level, the yield is even higher than the non-biofortified ones. Fantastic. And if I may ask, what can you say about about maize? You use it, right?
No.
At all?
No experience there.
No, what I mean is, do you use maize?
No, we just process millets. So our company is 1 year old, and we just specialize in millets at the moment. Okay. But we want to venture into more fortified grains, for example, corn, vitamin A maize.
So the focus is iron pear millet at the moment.
At the moment, yes.
Okay. You see, looking at north and high consumption of grains generally, yes, sorghum is high, millet is high, maize is also high. For all it's a staple there. So we will encourage you to consider it.
Definitely.
Propcom will support you.
By God's grace. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. We go to the second and the last round of questions. I come back to the great aggregators. So aggregators, this time around I'm going to start with my person. Everybody's my person. I'm for everybody, the lady. Now, is there a growing demand for biofortified produce? I know you have a lot to say. That's why I'm starting with you. Is there a growing demand, or is there a demand for it? And from your end, what do you think? You have mentioned it a bit, but be yourself now and talk as much as you want to. But please, MC, do like this. We can talk to tomorrow if you don't stop us. Okay. So what is or are limiting factors of the demand for biofortified crops from your experience?
Okay, good morning again. In terms of the demand for biofortified products, from my end, on the aggregation side, I don't think there's a growing demand. I mean, I can count the number of companies that are actually doing biofortified products. I know Harvest Plus very well. We have partnered with them on some cases. I know Halico Foods, right? We're trying to run a partnership with Millet. I think we started discussing from last year. But then, I can count them. I really don't know the other ones. I know there are so many ones, but on that scale, that maybe a flour mills is operating in, a Dangote, an Olam or a Wakot, etc., is operating on, it can't be compared with the commercial quantities right now. Perhaps the information that the Halico Foods man said, if it is put on the mainstream media, so that people know that, this increases yield, this has an increased yield. And I'm not so sure, I'm sure that the vitamin A maize, beyond the fact that it provides nutrition, has some value for the farmers as well. So if there can be a proof of concept that can be leveraged on or capitalized on to tell those people that, see, you are missing out, you can actually have 1 for 6, 1 times 6 or 6x or 10x yield, and that reduces your costs immediately. All of the different resultant effects that this can provide for both the farmer, for both the food processor, and everybody involved in the value chain, then it can take up demand. And again, when we as business people, right, I know we are pro-impact, but at the core of it, the business side of it ensures our sustainability. So when we look at the numbers, we are telling ourselves, who compensates for this cost? I mean, vitamin A fortified maize is fantastic, it's amazing. But when I'm looking at the cost, the extra cost, if you go to the market, the farmer definitely will price his higher than somebody who is doing commercial available maize. Now, passing it on to if the food processor takes that market, the market is not structured enough, by the way. Everybody just takes a price and then they want to insist on that price. Whether you're doing vitamin A fortified maize or you're doing commercially available maize, who compensates for the price? And if the food processor is specializing on biofortified crops, he definitely will push it to the retail market. And it could be challenging on that end, pushing it to the retail market, but it's a bit flexible there. Because I can say, for instance, let me just use this product. I think the one on the table, Nestle water. When you go to the shops, you see the one with zinc, and you see the one with the green cap and the blue cap. You pay some extra for the green cap, right? The cost is moved to you for demanding that. And so it is not yet there. The structures are being set in place, but this kind of structure, okay, for commercially available maize or soya or whatever, this is what I'm taking. For biofortified maize or soya, this is what I'm taking. So you are encouraging us to move into that value chain so that we can capture more profits for ourselves or more margins for ourselves. It's not there, but it can be developed. I'm sure with the proper incentives, financial incentives, or any other incentives, we can drive the market from there. Then secondly, your second question around the limitations, if I'm not mistaken, please can you repeat that?
Yeah, I mean, what is or are the limiting factors to the demand for? What do you think is limiting demand?
Yes, I sort of alluded to that there is no incentive really for going into biofortified products. Nobody is taking the cost off you, and the cost is not, you're not putting the cost on anyone. You can't put it on the farmer, you can't put it on the food processor, so you bear the cost with no support, right? And that reduces your margin, and we all know what the economy is talking about. Again, as it is with all aggregation processes, not peculiar to biofortified foods, there are things around lack of data. Like, I wouldn't know if I'm not here, the gap that this has presented. I wouldn't know, the challenges as it is if I wasn't here. But it's not peculiar to biofortified foods, just so that we know. It is a problem of the agric sector. It's a bit excluded from everything. There are no proper data systems, there's no structure, security, and in terms of financing, okay, so now as somebody who is in this space, I seriously want to go into biofortified crops. I like the idea of it. I want to now partner with a flour mills or a Halico to ensure that I drive that supply chain process to them. Who finances it? If I want to now take this to the bank to have those conversations, lack of finance is also a major challenge. And, you see, so there are so many limiting factors that I could go on and to list, but finance is a challenge. The structures not available. In terms of synergy and collaboration with national structures, the government is not providing what they are supposed to provide in terms of infrastructure, logistics. If I'm to store vitamin A, maybe it has no peculiar storage conditions or speculations, but I should assume, as somebody who has a first degree in pharmacy, that something which is biofortified should require extra levels of storage, right? Maybe not for the maize, maybe not for the millet, but something somewhere out there. So today we do not have those structures, storage structures, logistics systems peculiar to these biofortified products. What are we doing about them? We're talking of EV logistics, we're talking of climate smart warehouses, etc. and etc. And then that now informs demand as well. Now, the third thing, insecurity. For the places which are more prone to insecurity, you find out that these are places where you can be flexible enough to have many farmers deal with biofortified crops, and insecurity becomes a challenge. And now that's for the government. We can support, but we have limitations on which we can support. And then the last thing, like I alluded earlier, is the lack of synergy. I feel that critical handovers are not properly managed. Okay, we have, for instance, we have come here to have this discussion, and there are some research points that, got my attention as a business person. How do we pass it on to national orientation, public commission or complaint commission? How do we pass it on to social media influencers, as low or high level as it may be, to begin to drive these narratives in their conversation? And from them, how do we now pass it on to the retail market? So there are critical handovers that are not efficiently managed. It's being dropped off. So this person is waiting for this person to do something. This person, there's really nobody taking it from end to end through the entire chain of the process. So these are many other factors, including research, enough research, communicating the research, are the things that impede our ability to further on major on biofortified products. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's really, really elaborate. But before I move to the next person in the aggregator sector, I want to find out, you said finance, support, incentive. Are you asking for that because it is vitamin A maize biofortified crop we're talking about, or that is the norm? Did you request for such for other varieties of grains? Or is this demand just peculiar to vitamin A grain because it is biofortified?
I think both. If it is difficult for the other ones, it should be more difficult for the vitamin A fortified maize. That's because there's no drive for it. If I go to a financial institution and I say I specialize in vitamin A fortified maize, they will ask me, okay, the normal maize, because there's nothing that is pushing them to say, I want to, like, for instance, if the government is pushing or something, saying that, oh, cashew is this, you can export it and make more money, etc. The financial institution will look for me because I do cashew. So if it is difficult on this other side, I expect more difficulty on the vitamin A fortified maize, just because there's lack of awareness.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, Trivagric. Any addition? I have 10 minutes to go to finish this.
I mean, if someone like Dana has spoken, I think there's nothing to say anymore.
Yeah.
Just to add one thing,
okay.
I think for me it's just to touch based on awareness. I think many times when I come to sessions like this, you can clearly see the big divide in the room as to what is happening on the field and what is happening in very fine places like this, where we all dress up and come to listen to ourselves. On the field, it's a total different reality. People are hungry. You're talking of biofortification when people are hungry, right? So who is going to drive that awareness one? Who's going to lead it, right? So I believe that processors should lead also. I also believe, because I think one way or the other, maybe 50%, I don't know the numbers, of what we produce as grains will end up being processed somewhere, right? So if they can say, I want this and I'll pay a certain premium for this, then maybe that will help as well. I think seed companies as well, maybe there's some certain incentives that they can have to be able to produce seeds that are cheaper and are biofortified and cheaper, because they're quite a bit, on the high side, because they're hybrid seeds and they're very good, they're high yielding. But the smaller farmers may not be able to afford it easily without maybe companies like Trivagric or Afex or other companies really giving them access to credit. So some of the things we need to look at, but the big thing is really awareness, calling stakeholders to be able to see how we can push this forward. We need to create awareness. There's no awareness, to be honest.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, they've said it all. I would just want to simplify it and putting it into the context of why we would not get the result we need until we close that supply-demand gap. And at the end of the day, it boils down to pricing. If you had set up a premium, initially when I entered this portfolio, there was probably a markup on yellow maize because of maybe preference for food processors. We're the only one paying the premium for yellow maize. But in an instance where maize prices went up higher than the premium that was available for yellow maize,
even yellow maize sellers, yellow maize producers that were producing specifically for maybe people like Polaram or organizations using it. They would divert their volumes to where the highest prices. And at the end of the day, it goes back to that part where I said what incensify biofortified grains going to livestock industry rather than to human consumption. And I don't think, I mean, they've said it better that it's going to be awareness. So we are going to like break it down to like, okay, what's the goal that I want to achieve? Is it enlightenment in terms of biofortified foods or stimulating the market? And I think let's just start with enlightenment. And I mean, he has given a very fantastic positive impact in that. And it's about pushing that out. Pushing out the grains for if hopefully biofortified maize also have the same result. Just push it to the farmer first. Let them hold, let them keep. Interestingly, we also had the same feedback in terms of farmers holding back to grain. But I don't think it was just because of, it was better yield. Just like I said, it was because people were hungry. Food was expensive to buy outside. So what would they naturally do? Whatever they've harvested, they keep it in store and to be eating it.
Yeah.
So it was not just about, it was, I would rather eat what I produce than go to the market to go and buy what I can afford. Rice paddy has gone up, sorghum has gone up, a lot of other micro economies that is happening in the field, just like you have said, is changing those dynamics. And I think that's why beyond what we are saying here, we really need to action out and solve those food security issues.
Thank you very much. That is really insightful. Thank you. Lastly, briefly now, I know you have mentioned you have made given some responses to the question I'm going to ask, but just put it in context for the purpose of capturing it. What are the opportunities that you see in using biofortified produce within your company, either now or in future? Haliko.
Thank you. Sorry, can you repeat the question because I thought you were speaking?
The opportunities you see in using biofortified produce. I know you have mentioned iron pear millets, right? Currently. In future, what can you see? What are the opportunities that you see in using biofortified produce?
I think you know it's the you have to first look at the demand from both areas, the farmers and the demand from the last man. And I think there is a growing demand. It's gradual. It's getting there. I think we have to raise the awareness, and I think it has to start with the farmers because in my opinion, the last man sometimes, as the lady from Agriac was saying, they don't really. It's not that they don't care much about what they're having, but they don't focus much on what product they should purchase, biofortified or not biofortified. But from the farmers, once you ensure that the biofortified grains and crops are widespread, automatically it's going to get to the last man. The processors will start to adopt these grains. It will become like ordinary grains in terms of pricing eventually. Okay. You have to make it, you should reduce the scarcity. You have to, through government palliatives, maybe NGO contributions, collaborations between NGOs, governments, and private sectors. All should have a hand in this way. They should be given the farmers the seeds, the grains, all of that, so that they can begin to make it widespread, and then automatically it will reach the last man. So this is where I think we should touch upon, and then the opportunity is there. It will reach a time where we will be mainly using biofortified grains and crops. I believe that.
Thank you. It will get to a point that it will be all biofortified crop. Thank you. For flour mills, you have mentioned it already, so I won't bother except you have any other addition. Okay. You had already told us that costs is an opportunity, they reduce costs, and saving of a forex. Is there any other one that you want to chip in the next 1-2 minutes?
Okay, so let me just add to what he said. there has to be deliberate effort. Coming from, of course, the awareness and all of that. The seed companies too need to do a lot of biofortified crops, even down to the breeders. Like one of the speakers mentioned, biofortification to the farmer is an added advantage, so to speak, but not the main thing. If my conventional crop yields much better than a biofortified crop, unless I have some big incentive, I'm not going to plant it, for instance. So even the breeders need to, push out more biofortified crops that are very competitive, equal or better to the conventional crops that people know, so that in time it becomes the norm. For instance, I'm aware that IITA IITA is not putting efforts in breeding yellow maize again. Like they're scrapping yellow maize. If they're going to do anything yellow-orange maize, it has to be pro-vitamin A. That's the current trend, So it's like they're gradually, replacing old varieties, bringing anything new that is yellow-orange to be vitamin A, for instance. And this has to cut across all other crops, sorghum, millet, you name it. So that way, it's like the biofortification crops are all out there, and you have a lot of quantity, so that it infiltrates all the farming systems, and it just, in time, becomes a norm.
Yeah, well, thank you. But IITA is coming up with different varieties of maize. High yielding, striga-resistant variety, protein,
yes,
high protein.
But
there are different varieties.
All of that can still be vitamin A.
Yes.
For instance.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm even in a project at the moment where we're looking at all-encompassing variety. It will be high in vitamin A, high in yielding, resistance, striga resistant, and all that. Yeah, so we will get there. So thank you very much. Please, can we give them a round of applause? MC, do I have 10 minutes to ask the audience for their opinion, question, contribution? Do I have 10 minutes to do that before they go? Okay. Please, I would not release it. Just let's listen to the audience. Contribution, comments, clarification. Let me see hands. Wow. Okay, I'll give you number. 1, right? 2, the man in ash cap. Gain 3, the blue man 4, the lady beside you 5. Wow. Can we take all this? The one beside that gear 6, 7 at the back. The man in the white 8, then 9. We have 9 questions. 1 minute. 1 minute. And you direct your question to any of them. Please take note, you answer them together so that in case there is repetition. So number 1, yeah, that's number 1.
For me, I'm not asking question, maybe just to elaborate what they said. My name is Ayode Fadoju, and I'm here representing the Zomchi Foundation. So we're bringing, about 8 years, in the biofortified food chain. One thing, okay, we are privileged to work with the rural resilience activity, and one of the key lessons from that project is that we're able to expand our business to the Northeast. And we noticed that increasing awareness has to be layered with social behavioral change communication. Mm-hmm. The farmers, for the first time, they haven't heard about the sweet potato before, orange flesh sweet potato, but they saw that and they even had it as tea break. Mm-hmm. And that's the orange flesh sweet potato donut, and then they drink. And again, they were assured of market, so there's this backward integration. The product I have here is from our bakery in Gombe. And so even while we are still harvesting in Mubi and Funakaya in Gombe now, they are not even interested in farming the white variety because they are seeing that this one brings more yield. And also there's also the climate, the climate resilient part to it. Orange flesh sweet potato thrives in marginal soils.
Yeah, that's true.
So they are seeing that firsthand. It's not just what we read or what we have in the internet. So they are saying that, wow, we just would want to go on with this, and we have assured them of ready market. So there are many lessons, but time will not permit me to share. So there's a lot more disconnect in information, which we really have to, focus on, and also understanding the peculiar challenges of individual processors. not just a generalized form. There will be many projects and interventions, but again, there is that disconnect. So that is the way to go. I mean, looking at how to collaborate with commercial value chain actors, not just what we hear. Thank you very much.
That's a comment and a contribution. Number 2, yeah.
My name
Sorry,
is
please.
Victor. Okay.
We are going to take all the questions, so please note, and we'll take them together. Right?
My name is Bito Yoyewale,
Yes.
working for Premier Seed Nigeria Limited. One important insightful about the biovitamin product is that it's gaining trend day by day. Most of the crops nowadays are the byproducts of vitamin A. But as aggregators, as they have said, because there is no platform to disaggregate between biofortified crops and the non-biofortified crops, majority of these biofortified products, they are high-yield materials. For example, Oba Super Seeds, which is the maize that has the highest vitamin A content, is one of our premium products. Apart from the relationship and establishment of collaboration among other processors on Operation Grow Your Raw Material, there are some processors nowadays that have that standing relationship with us. That because they don't know the type of the products that aggregators are supplying, we want you to grow our raw material for us. And I want to allay your fear regarding the price. There is no a special price for biofortified products. Hybrid is hybrid. OPV is OPV. And it's the same price. It's now depend on your choice. But while we at where we are in Nigeria, in the face of scarcity, you buy whatever that is available. And that is why we are experiencing the malnutrition and health problem that we are experiencing in Nigeria. A time will come that the product will be procured on specified characteristics and traits. It is high time, as the marketing is growing and the need for majority of these products are growing, to continue to promote biofortified seed, biofortified crops. Not that there is additional prices. Just like they have said, maize is maize. But there are some maize that can enhance the performance of the livestock, that can give good nutrients to lame birds, that can enhance the growth of cow. I will just advise the aggregators, just like Dr. Job said, that their own, it's not about the cost alone, it's not about the forex, but about need. What can we do to balance the nutrients in the goods or final good that we are selling to consumer? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Again, that's a comment. Please, let's limit our contribution, comment, question to 30 seconds. Please. Number 3, gain. Yeah.
Thank you very much, colleagues. My name is Godwin. I work for the Global Alliance to Improve Nutrition. Now, this space is a very good space. I notice there's a lot of disconnects here. The people on the field and the people who are not on the field. And just like, what's her name again? Yes, just like she mentioned, a whole lot of things she mentioned are actually true. Now, in this space, we have a lot of challenge. First is the problem of traceability. Now, if we don't do something about this, we'll have a lot of challenge going forward. And then we also have, she also commented on something that's very important. She mentioned who takes the markup, who pays the price. And my very good friend here from Premier Seed have been supplying us seeds. We have over 6,000 farmers in Kaduna producing vitamin A maize. In the last 3 years, they've been doing this. And I tell you, in terms of demand, the demand is really very high. After 1 to 2 months of harvest, we don't find the produce anymore. They're all gone, sold out. So because the demand is high. So when I hear people say there's no demand for vitamin A maize, I keep wondering what is happening. So that's why I say there's a lot of disconnect here. And then also, very importantly, Ayoade has mentioned something very, very important. This is what is happening in the space here. We notice that there is no, the level of awareness is very low. And then the incorporation of SBCC. Because we are enlightened here, and that's why we can speak this way. And that's why we can see the importance. The man in the village, in the remote areas, they don't know the importance. And so we've invested a lot of money coordinating or implementing activities around SBCC so that we get people to come in. As I speak to you, I am overwhelmed with the demands we get for biofortified products, be it VAM, VAC, that is vitamin A maize, vitamin A cassava, OFSP, everywhere. And so, I think Propcom is in the right place. I've seen the strategy. Thank you, Uvo. That's very good strategy. And you see, working with every actor in the value chain will make us achieve success. It's a very robust value chain. Somebody mentioned something about the logistics, warehousing, spatial storage for biofortified products. All these are very, very important. And I think the way we're going to achieve the desired result at the end. Thank you very much.
A comment, and one thing I take from there is a disconnect. So how do we bridge the gap? No demand, more than enough demand. So what do we do? Propcom, over to you. Next, please. Thank you. 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. Gwesma. My name is Abraza Kusa. I'm a farmer, aggregator, and also a transporter. Thank God, the first and I think the third speaker, they have mentioned some of the points that I want to lay emphasis on them. The major producers of all these crops that we are talking about, I think we are mentioning the Northeast zone. They are the major farmers. This problem of awareness is the major thing that we need to focus on it. And the farmers, we have to understand their nature. Which language are we going to use to communicate so that they will understand effectively? Let me tell you, this agriculture of a thing, there are some terms you have to Google before you understand what they are doing. So, while reaching the farmers, you have to get someone that will explain it vividly for the farmers. Let them understand the point, the target that we are going to achieve. I think that one will help us the most than spending a lot of money doing workshop and everything. This one is good also, but reaching the farmers, use their language of immediate environment. Let them understand vividly what message are you going to pass to them. Will help us much in this program. That is just my contribution.
Thank you very much again. Messaging. Propcom, messaging. How do we communicate the message in a way that it will be clear and acceptable? Thank you very much. Next, please. Yes, madam.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the presenters. So I'll ask a question, then I'll also make a comment. Concerning the biofortified seeds or materials, I would have expected a seed company to be on the panel, because one of the things that we'll need to know is before we get to the volumes, some of these aggregators or companies are talking about, there's a whole lot of process involved in getting the biofortified materials. And I know that biofortified materials is something that has just started gaining awareness and gaining increase. So that would have been a good one for us to even know what's the level of early generation seeds that we have, to what quantity of certified seeds that are available. But my question is, when we're coming, part of the things we're told is there will be linkages. So I want to ask them, are you willing to uptake these biofortified materials? And if you're willing to uptake it, are you willing to give purchase orders for these biofortified materials? Because we said there's no structured market. And everyone that wants to go into business wants to also know what is in it and how to sell these materials. Yes, in this room, we are saying that there's a demand, which indeed there is a demand. For us, we also produce the biofortified materials, even though not in the volume of other conventional materials, and that's because of the level of awareness. So one of the things that, and that is why I really want to congratulate Propcom. This is a very good space to venture into, because it will now increase the volume and the availability of this material. So, but the question is, are we willing to actually get these materials into our productions? And so that way we can also know how we are going back to prepare. Thank you.
Thank you very much. They will answer later. Number 6.
Yeah, my name is Adeseko Adekule Michael. I work for National Agricultural Seed Council, an agency of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Mine is a comment, and I want to lend my voice to the last speaker. They say when the big masquerade has already danced, what can the small one do? The big masquerade on the last on the raised platform there, but none really thought a producer of this material should be on the platform as well, so that you can share experiences. Yeah, other speakers, as they have mentioned what I intend to do, and I will not dwell on that one. That is the disconnect. There is a serious disconnect, and this body, the Propcom program, has really brought that one out clearly, both from your strategy and the discussion we are having in the room now. But nobody has added the last leg, the sustainability. So this is a program, this is a project, it's a program. We need to have a body, a national body, that will eventually hone it. So part of the structure is what my last speaker said, that the market for the production of these biofortified material are already there. The sector is already regulated. You can be traced. So we can leverage on their experience and even make them a major structure in this value chain, because it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you're not getting it right from the production, and the market that is pulling these special materials is not well structured, just like the house has said, then we're still going to repeat this thing. No, for the farms, we all know the challenges on the feed. We do not need to go into details here. We all feed individuals here. But we need to really have that particular sector too involved in this fora. They have to be on the raised platform as well. The real farmer. Let them talk. Don't let us talk on their behalf. And lastly, I want to make a small clarification. You mentioned IITA. I think we always need to state what the role of IITA is. All that IITA do, or what they are doing, is research and development. It is this national body and multinational body that will take the product and own it. It is not IITA that will own it. We know they are doing a lot for this. I interact with them almost every day. It's like my second office. So it is the national that will own this to make us and make this project and even make the biotified product and the market and the commercials, whether we are scaling it up or we are multi-scaling it up, it must be national. It must be from within. So national must own it. And we are mentioning names like NOA. I have on my book here, I say NOA, fine. But those of us in this room, we are the one that will give them the technical language. They will now use their own expertise to preach the message very, very well. NOA is fine, but let the national be there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We understand. And thanks for the clarification. We have 3 more, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Bodoze Chime. I'm CEO of Chime Foods Limited. I have some questions, and the first is directed to the companies that are into aggregation. There's obviously a challenge with production capacity. The production, what we're producing is not so much. What's your experience when it comes to irrigation farming? I happen to be in the north, and I know there's a lot of land in the north. But I also know that there is really not much being done on irrigation farming. What are your experiences, and what is the way forward? Secondly, to Halico Foods, I want to also, our engagement with Mexico as a company made us to be able to train farmers, gave them some inputs, and when it came to the point of being able to aggregate and then link up to farmers, that we found a little disconnect. And that disconnect was, there are people who are already aggregating these grains during the harvesting season, and they aggregate it in bulk. They are able to sell at better prices than the farmers who want to sell it later. So you may have, maybe a company may need, let's say, 20 metric tons of a product, but you realize that what your farmers that you've worked with are offering is costlier than what these big-time aggregators are actually offering. And why? Because they have aggregated this when it was quite cheaper. They can sell at that disconnect. How do you handle such kind of disconnect? Selling at premium, you know you want your profit is important to you, and when these grains are offered at premium prices, how do you handle the disconnect between getting this product at premium prices from the farmers and maintaining profitability for your company? That's second. Then thirdly, to the grain flour mills, I know the issue of wheat, and I know we don't do so much of wheat. We do much of maize. Now, I just checked wheat consumption in Nigeria is about 4.2 million metric tons, and our production capacity is about 300,000. And maize is about 12.75 million metric tons. That means we are producing so much more of maize than wheat. Why can't we factor in products that are around maize? I saw that it's more of livestock feeds. Why don't we factor in more products that are consumable for humans, for we, than
Thank you very much.
Then please, sorry, lastly, I feel that the farmers, a lot have to be done when it comes to training them to see farming as a business, as entrepreneurs in business, because it's not just training them in inputs, how to farm, how do they scale, how do they grow, how do they see themselves as people who can actually grow more than just being like just for their livelihood. How they plan for growth. I think it's important we start to train them in business more than just training them in other things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe you will meet them at the end of the outside this room, because our time is really, really gone.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Asongo. I work with Standard Microfinance Bank. We anchor access to finance in the Northeast. Just two questions I want to ask. When the Director of Strategy was presenting, he mentioned that the demand for vitamin A maize is driven by animal feeds. I think FX mentioned the same thing. The question is it because humans don't know about it, or they don't want it? I want to know. Then secondly, everybody is talking about awareness, and this is true, is a key. You see, if the farmer does not produce the biofortified seed produce, there is no way the aggregator will get, and there is no way the processor will get. Mm-hmm. So the question is now to Propcom. What are you doing to ensure that the awareness and education reach directly to the farmer who is producing this for the processor to get? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Propcom, we answer that one later. Last one, last question. No more hands. Number 9, yes, sir.
Okay, good morning.
No? No?
Yes.
No, I didn't see a hand up. We have 9 hands. Oh, no. Sorry, Madam Ajia. In as well. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Okam. I'm the CEO Kozans. So my first question goes to Halico. So you said something about NGOs giving BIOFORTIFIED seeds to farmers to encourage them to keep using the seeds.
Sorry, please, can you use the mic?
Okay, sorry. So you said NGOs are giving farmers BIOFORTIFIED seeds to encourage them to keep using the seeds, right? But let's look at sustainability. You can't give them all the time. You have to find a way to make sure that they can afford the seeds. So don't you think that instead of encouraging giving them the seeds all the time, let's look at a way of working with them to produce the seeds instead of just producing grains for sale? I'm asking, then my second, this goes to Triva Greek. Since I know Triva Greek as a production company that you produce grains and seeds. So don't you think it's possible to produce these BIOFORTIFIED seeds in such a way that the selling price tallies with the prices of the normal seeds, or even lesser, so as to encourage farmers to actually buy these BIOFORTIFIED seeds instead of just buying normal grains? Because to be honest, you will not tell a farmer to buy a BIOFORTIFIED seed that is more expensive when he has probably or she hasn't actually eaten properly. I don't know if you understand. So already there's poverty in the rural areas. So instead of encourage them to buy more expensive seeds, why not make the seeds cheaper for them to buy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Idea.
Okay, my name is Hadiza Zakari. I came from Jigawa State. One idea that came to my mind is about the aggregators and the processors. I think they have better connection with the farmers because they are buying from them. So why can't they make a kind of integration with the seed producers and even the breeders? Because the seed producers and the breeders have a gap between them with the farmers. So at least if they are playing a role of intermediating, let them provide the seed to the farmers because they have more contact with them. And now encourage them to produce it and then get the seed, get it from them. And they can also get the seed from the seed producers, like the seed councils we are talking about. I think it will bridge the gap, the connection that we are talking about.
Please, can I crave your indulgence to give her a round of applause? I love that. Nigerian women's got talents and got ideas. Thank you so very much. So, briefly, please, your response. I want this response in 2 minutes. Please, if you need further clarification, you can meet them over tea break, during tea break, and get clarity on whatever. Then you can meet Propcom at the end of the day, please. So many of you, so I start with you. Whatever was directed to you, just answer. None for you. Okay, try Greek. Oh, you want them to start? Just go one second, and we go.
2 minutes, okay. I'll start with the question on can we give farmers this BIOFORTIFIED seeds to at a, would I say, cheaper rate? It's a difficult ask because as any for-profit business, right, we're not an NGO, so maybe this is what maybe Propcom can come and help us do. Or, we have some seed companies here. If I tell them to give me a 20% give me 80% discount now, the likes of Seedco and Premier Seeds, they will look at me like I'm a madman. So it means that there's a profit issue there. There's a business side of things that we need to look at numbers, just in a nutshell. So that's why it's very difficult to do that. Also for, I think there was something, I wanted to address what you said around, again, around that there's a lot of demand. There's a demand for maize. So even if you produce maize that looks like I don't know, weird, somebody will buy it. It's so bad that even maize that is moldy, there's a market for it. But I do not think there's a specific market for BIOFORTIFIED maize today. And I stand on it based on what I know from the field. If you produce any maize you will sell it. Question is there biofortified maize sold specially? That's a different conversation. So I'd like to just state that irrigation farming also, someone said irrigation farming. I think Nigeria produces what? Less than 5%. Some people say 5% of the entire thing we produce in the country as irrigation farming. So already there's a gap. And I don't think private government for us to come together and water, essentially. There's no water everywhere. So you might have land, but you cannot necessarily water the soil. Watering is just very complicated. It's very costly as well for smallholder farmers to do. So it's a total conversation on irrigation. So that's why. I think that's it. I think that's it from me.
He has covered it. He has covered it.
So yeah, just so that the aggregation part just goes. So I think a lot of people were hampering on the cost part. My bad. If I didn't know that the cost of biofortified grains in the market is the same. And I need to clarify that, we really need to do our market research to check for this. And then somebody said, are you willing to take biofortified materials? For me, clearly, yes, if I can link into the retail or the processor market. If there's a clear market for me that is structured enough, we have signed the contract, and we can begin those conversations immediately here. I can jump on it, but the pricing structure has to be clear. Biofortified, I wouldn't buy biofortified and give somebody who does not want biofortified. We need to just clearly identify those things. And again, like the awareness, not to flog it enough, or sorry, not to flog it a lot, but just to say that if there's a demand, a strong demand for biofortified commodities, it is not enough. There's not enough awareness. I mean, almost all of us here said there's no demand over the top of our heads, because we're in the markets, we're in strategic markets that actually do something like maize. And we don't know who to deliver to, so it's a bit of a struggle. And if you can find those leakages here, then it will make the awareness, and it will multiply our effect. Again, somebody said getting the products at premium price and getting profitability. I think we can take that out of here, because there are some nuances in aggregation that could help you maximize your profitability without storing, because right now the government is pushing against storing and hoarding so that you don't increase the pricing for the retail end. But then there are some nuances that you can work, especially given the economic environment of Nigeria. I would say that maybe personally or something. Then consumables for maize products. For most of us, and I don't know if I'm speaking for most of us here, we actually deliver maize for animal feed. That's the thing that maize is used for. I'm not sure if I know that there's a demand for pap, for cereals, for all of this stuff. But honestly speaking, I wouldn't, and I don't want to use say the wrong words. The pricing for those for the market for maize consumables, when I talk of cornflakes or stuff, is a bit different from the pricing for animal feeds. Animal feeds is more profitable over the top of my head. Now, I'm not doing anything, and this is the reason why I hampered on cost and who bears the cost. I have done this thing, and we have looked at it from an analytical perspective, and the only way we can go into it is if the cost is being paid for by somebody. Thank you.
Processors.
Yes.
1 minute.
So I'm going to start with the question regarding the okay, so the most important thing is we have to phase out all of the conventional. I'm going to speak about millets, specific iron-pearl millets and millets, because that's where I'm more experienced at. So we need to phase out all the conventional millets. Now, Propcom's project is about 8 years. Okay. We have Propcom's project. There is Harvest Plus coming in. There is Palladium. There is Mexico. There is Feed the Future. And there is the government. Within these 5 years, 8 years, why can we not do some kind of general subsidy, work with the Premier Seeds, companies like Premier Seeds and all of these seed-producing companies, and provide the farmers so we can phase, let's start with millets, phase out all the millets. 1, 2, 3 harvest seasons, 3 years, you will not see any more conventional millets. It's possible. But you need to, you know, all of these, let's say, NGOs and the government need to work together, work with the seeds. You know, Niger now, you know, I believe I heard this from one of my partners that the biofortified iron pill millets started with India, then it came to Niger, then to Nigeria. Now Niger, they're only using, I think, maybe 80%. I'm not entirely sure with this value, but maybe around 70 to 80% is biofortified millets. And now it's coming into Nigeria. It will work, but we need the help of the government. We need subsidy, or let's say provision, that they will provide at lower cost the seeds to the farmers. Look at palladium, they're coming in, they're helping the private sectors to also, you know, with marketing and, you know, produce, you know, biofortified crops, biofortified crops, the aggregators. This is what is needed, and we're doing it, but we need the government to come in as well, do it on a large scale, consistently for a couple of years, and it will phase out all of the conventional millets. You will now have only biofortified millets in the market. I believe that is possible. So that's one question that I have addressed. And the second question is regarding someone who comes in and offtakes all the millets, let's say, and stores them or hoards them. I think there's a very important aspect here is to have a good relationship with your farmers. If you're working directly with your farmers, you know, you can help by providing them, let's say, with bags, with the seeds. When I say bags, when they want to harvest, you know, you reduce the costs on them as like some kind of incentive. You build a relationship with your farmers. And at the same time, if you have extension officers, extension agents on ground who will be monitoring the harvest, they will come before these companies. Okay, look, these companies have their own extension officers as well. You know, a survival of the fittest, but you can implement this and they can reduce, you know, the probability of, let's say, someone coming and overtaking you and like completely aggregating all the grains. Then you can have your own, let's say, what you provided the farmers, you get them. And you can get them at lower cost, but you have to have some kind of incentive you are giving the farmer. I think that's what I'm doing at the moment, at least. And hopefully we'll see that this harvest season.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Last but not the least.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the question on are we willing to get the materials into our production asked by Mrs. Stella Thomas. Yes, the answer is yes. But one thing we need to understand too is the fortification has, you know, there are nutrient thresholds in which we put into some of these products. So it's not just by saying, okay, if I say vitamin A maize, but which vitamin A maize am I going to use? Now, I'm talking about which variety in specific that meets my needs. Now, if it's possible that even the vitamin A maize does not meet the fortification that is done at flour mills, then okay, what more do we need to add to mark up to get it to that level? Of course, that is still a lot of cost savings, you know, either way you look at it. So it's important to, and that's why I said this is work in progress. I said we are looking at, you know, doing this, but doing this means, you know, the food processing team sitting down and calculating, you know, okay, this is the amount of vitamin A, of iron, of zinc that we put, you know, with the fortificants that we put into our products. Okay, which variety can supply this? Is it going to be this millet he was talking about, for instance, that's going to bring that? And then how do we work with the aggregators, you know, the producers, to get demand and be able to aggregate demand of that for our processing? So then the question about doing so much wheat, 4.2 million metric, okay, as compared to maize. Of course, we know wheat has its peculiarities in terms of its production. You need the right weather. You need the right, you know, even the location. It's done off-season. Irrigation is needed. The guy from Tribe Agric had mentioned that irrigated capacity is really restricted. On the short term, what we're also doing, because we are really increasing our wheat production, to some extent, I would say we are converting rice farmers to wheat. And of course, that has its own problem also. It's creating a value chain in terms of reducing quantity of rice and increasing quantity of wheat, for instance. But it's still work in progress and something we are working on. Then just to say a little thing about there was a question about demand for vitamin A maize driven by animal feeds. And just to clarify this, yellow maize or orange maize is not necessarily vitamin A maize. So maybe that's why some people get the misconception. Why is yellow maize used so much in livestock feed? For obvious reasons. For instance, if you feed yellow maize, you are sure to get yellow yolks when you break your eggs. By default, you feel when you break your egg and you see, very orange yolk, you feel you are eating something healthier than if you see a plain a plain whitish-looking yolk, and that's why poultry farmers, for instance, will prefer to use yellow maize. Vitamin A is also needed by livestock in high quantities, and even this premix that is added to poultry feed, for instance, has a lot of vitamin A in it. So that maybe that's part of the reason why yellow maize is seriously demanded in the livestock sector, mostly poultry. Then, okay, the last question Hajia, about producers, processors, breeders, everybody working together. Yes, that is very important, and that would also determine which varieties in specific would be demanded to drive processing. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Please, can we give them a round of applause? You have done so much well. Thank you. We can, please, encourage them as they do. Wow. So, thank you. Keep clapping for them until they get to their seats.
And please, a round of applause for our moderator, Dr. Phoebe. Yes, that was a very interesting one, but we want you to stretch now, please. There's tea break there. We have 15 minutes. All the conversations about needing to talk and network, please go ahead and do so over the next 15 minutes. And when we come back, we'll have the next panel session. Okay, welcome back. The next session is very interesting. We are going to be listening to or discussing with a group of people who are equally as important as the first set of people and are critical to getting the right types of foods to your table and play a key role in the biofortification market. The first set of people I'm going to call are representatives of farmer groups who have come from really far to join us here today. So please, with a warm welcome, I want us to welcome to the stage Nafisa Adam. Nafisa Adam is representing the Rigasa Cherish Women Multipurpose Cooperative Society. Please, you're welcome, Mas. And joining her today is Aisha Hadeja. Aisha Hadeja is the State Coordinator, Women in Agriculture, Jigawa State. Thank you very much. And to join them on the stage is the Chief Operating Officer of Adrena Foods, Amit Srivastavar. You're welcome. Please, let's give him a warm welcome. Also joining us is a woman earned, before I go to that, Adrena, we love to have you here. Please sit. We're hoping to have Serena, who is also a woman entrepreneur, so just flagging that is representing Serena. We also would like to welcome another female entrepreneur. She's the CEO, founder of Whole It. That is Kemi J. Kemi JJ. Kemi JJ. Thank you. I got that right. To also join them, the last but not the least, is DABS, representative of DABS, the operations manager of DABS, Lanre Hamid. Thank you very much for joining us. You're all welcome. The purpose of this discussion, one, is to have a sense of what some of the expectations that businesses have, the role women can play in getting biofortified crops or the right type of nutrient-dense foods to key processors, where you see the disconnect, where the opportunities are, and we'd pretty much like to hear from DABS. DABS is a key supplier of ready-to-use therapeutic food, and ready-to-use therapeutic food requires groundnut, which is a key product. I know there are some few groundnut producers here, so they'll be keen to hear from you. So you are all welcome today. Please, another round of applause for them. I would like to start this discussion from the people who make the demand, because it's your demand that will pull the supply. So I would like to start with Adrena. Yeah? Amit? We know that Adrena, maybe just tell us a bit about what Adrena does before we go to the questions. Please, can we bring microphones that work?
Yeah, it's working. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amit Srivastav. I am working with Adrena Foods Limited as a General Manager, Commercial and Operations. Madam has not introduced, I think I am not CEO. Madam is CEO, I am the General Manager.
Yeah.
We, in Adrena Foods, we are the groundnut processor. We are making variety of peanut-based nutrient products like peanut butter, peanut snacks, peanut paste, puff peanuts. We are into existence in this country for the past 8 years. We are supplying to domestic market as well as exports also. Thank you.
Okay. So just bringing to the light the value that women bring to the chain. In your experience, what would you say are the added value of working with women? What do they bring to your business as Adrena?
Yeah, they play a very vital role in our organization. Around, if I'm not wrong, 80% our workers are females. Basically, they are helping us in various stages like the processing of groundnuts, sorting of groundnuts. Then they are helping us in maintaining the proper quality aspects, quality control. So they are helping us in very many stages, including the packaging also.
Okay, so part of what, if you recall what we said we're trying to do, to get foods, nutrient-dense foods to the hands of people, you need people who are producing, right, to meet your demand. Could you tell us a bit about your challenge with getting the right quality of groundnuts that you need, and where you think your interaction or direct engagement with farmer groups through your aggregators could help?
We are into food industry and we have to maintain certain standards of certain quality standards as per NAFDAC and SUN. So for that, our specifications are like it should match a proper guidelines, international guidelines for aflatoxin, moisture level, then the size of groundnuts, then it should be dust free, without stone, without metal. All these things is our expectation. Then second thing, timely supply and at affordable price. This is the most important thing along with the quality.
Yeah, okay. Maybe could you just pass it on to Kemi? Kemi of Whole Eats. Do you want to tell us what Whole Eats sells, how you feel plugged into the whole biofortification business, and where you see the opportunities for women?
All right, thank you very much. So my name is Kemi Jeje, it's a Yoruba name, and I'm the team lead for All Eat. All Eat is a wellness food formulation business, and we process maize, we process millet, soya beans. One of our products is the Tom Brown variant, not exactly the Tom Brown. So we work pretty much in the nutrition space. So we produce Tom Brown variant. It's a protein meal for toddlers. We produce peanut butter as well, fortified. And then a completely different range that may not be relative to what we're talking about here. And to your question, how we're providing nutrient-dense produce, right?
Yeah, how engaged are you? I mean, you've had all the conversations that has happened earlier. What's your own experience with that, and what role do you think women producers can play in this?
Okay, so I mean, I'll be honest. I've learned a lot from being in this space today. A lot of things are eye-opening to me, and I dare say, I mean, even in recent weeks from our previous conversations, and I dare say to my colleagues that are processing, not exactly at the scale that flour mills or DABs is processing. And I think that that's where we need to begin to switch the conversation, because demand has got to drive supply. So the divide that we're seeing, where some people are saying there is no demand for biofortified produce, because somebody like me, I'm particular about what my customers are getting, but we're fortifying at the end, in the midst of our production, like flour mills had said, and that's all we think about. And for some of us, earlier on, when we think about biofortification, we're thinking GMOs, and we don't want to touch it. And I've also had that survey after our conversation, and a lot of small processors think the same thing. So it goes back to a lot of advocacy needing to go on. One of the first things we also did in the first 2 years, we're about 3-year-old now, was to see where the value actually is in this industry. So we pull back from saying, from the usual produce, go to market, distribute, because we realized that it's a deep pocket venture for an organization like ours, and wanted to be a bit more innovative. So we looked for where the problems are, and the problem for us that we've plugged into is malnutrition in toddlers between the ages of 6 months old and 5-year-old, and it's a big challenge. As much as we're in Lagos, and people would usually say that, oh, that problem is a lot in the north. Even we are overwhelmed by the demand that we have in Lagos. We've run like 3 pilots in Lagos, and the demand keeps surging. We're still in general hospitals yesterday, and we usually can't meet the demand. Okay, so what I would like to suggest is, there's a lot I want to say. I don't know if it's appropriate to just go on at this point. Is that we pull back from one of the questions that was asked, or concerns that was raised about biofortified products, who's going to pay the price? And I'd like to suggest that we pull back from the pricing model and begin to look at things as from a model of value for value, right? As a business, you're in the business to give value and get value back for it. Are there other ways that we can get value for the value that we're giving other than price? And I also there say that we can only solve these problems or create this impact as an ecosystem. Within our own industry, where we have organizations that produce also for toddlers like ourselves, we've been able to achieve some level of co-competition, and we want to be able to do more of that, because there's no way we're going to be able to solve the problem in Lagos, in Nigeria, how much more in Africa, if we don't come together, create an ecosystem that gives us a critical mass with which we can engage government. Government has a lot more problems to solve, and yes, because we are stakeholders in this industry, we think, oh, nutrition is really a big challenge, but government is faced with other challenges. I'm just going to pause at this point. So that
Thank you
take
very
other
much.
questions.
I like that you paused. And I like your comment around value for value. There's a real wisdom there. I would like us to come to Lanre representing DABS. Maybe just tell us a bit about what DABS does, and tell us what your key interests are.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lanre Ahmed. I represent DABS Nutritional Products Limited. DABS, like it was said during one of the presentations, that at some point, nutritional products for UNICEF was mainly imported into Nigeria from South Africa, Europe, and probably Asia, until DABS came on board in 2014. We became the first indigenous company to produce ready-to-use therapeutic food for UNICEF for the treatment of acute malnutrition in children. And this product, fortunately, is peanut-based. Peanut makes about between 25 and 30% of the product as a whole. But unfortunately, there is a disconnect between the producers of local peanuts and the specification that UNICEF is requiring.
Tell us more.
Yeah, because this product is meant for children with acute malnutrition, it is termed therapeutic food.
Mm-hmm.
So it is tending more towards pharmaceutical grade. So they're expecting the raw materials to meet some specifications which should be pharma-based. They keep raising the bar, actually. So at the point, our local peanuts are not able to meet those specifications. So
Tell us a bit about those specifications. What are those things that UNICEF is asking for that local producers, because there are a lot of local producers here, they want
Yeah,
to hear
I know
it.
there are a lot of local producers here. It's just like somebody said, you need to go to the dictionary or Google for you to
We
actually
will try
understand
and break
something.
it down.
So, but
Is
the
there a
recent
seed variety you need to get the kind of...
the recent one, which is the most important, is that there are some people who do research on health grounds. So once they get this research done, they pass it to UN. As as it is now, we have discovered that this causes this causes that. You need to stop this one. You need to stop with this one. So once they come, they impute these things into the compendia, the specifications. And once they put it in, you don't have a choice than to meet them. The last one was that they want us to meet omega-3 and omega-6 specification for the peanut-based product. They said for the peanut, we need to use high oleic peanut-based.
Is there a particular variety that makes
Yeah,
that?
there's a particular variety.
What variety is that?
It is called high oleic peanut seed. Okay. So this one, currently, they went to Malawi to start a project in Malawi. They call it Malawi Project. So, but that thing originally is naturally habitat in North and South America, Brazil and Argentina to be precise. So a lot of people were getting it from Brazil, but a lot of complaints started coming, so they had no choice than to come to Malawi to come and set up a plant. But I can tell you now that they are now in Nigeria with a grant, I think from USP. They are working with EMZO and some other companies for backward integration, to have an high oleic peanut that will meet some of these stringent specifications.
So what you're essentially saying is that there's no groundnut produced in Nigeria now, or we cannot produce the variety of groundnuts that you need to meet your specifications.
We can, and that is why company research institutes are available. So all we need to do is to get those seeds.
Exists, right? So
there are
it's
a lot of
about
varieties. Before now, having peanut-based product with high N6 value was considered healthy, until they came back and said, no, N6 is actually not healthy. What is healthy is N3, omega-3. So we should have the one rich in omega-3 than omega-6.
Okay,
so we don't have a choice than to
Thank you very much. Thank you. So tell me a bit, like, do you locally source any of your inputs? Just yes or no?
Yeah, we do.
Which
We locally source some of our inputs. Like we use oil for the product. Yeah, we source oil from premium foods. Okay. But we are looking at sourcing skim milk also locally. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'd like to move to the farmers, representative of the farmers group, starting with Nafisa. You've been listening to what the aggregators are saying. You saw the numbers earlier in the day. They say we're not producing enough to meet what they want to aggregate, let alone trying to look at that added layer of differentiating whether it's biofortified or not. So 2 questions. One, what do you think, what are your challenges in your experience representing women and farmers? What are the challenges that you face in being able to produce at capacity? One. And secondly, have you engaged with any processor or have you had any encounter with biofortification outside of what development projects are doing?
Good morning, everyone. I represent the Rigasao Women Cherish Association Cooperative. We deal with women farmers. Most challenges that my people face is lack of financial, they don't have finance. Women are willing to farm, but then they don't have the money to expand. And now we need more farm produce so that those people that are producing, they can use it, but then we don't have the finance to do that. And then the inputs, the affordability, the inputs, they are not affordable at the moment.
Tell us, has anything changed considering what the economic situation looks like right now?
A lot.
Are you seeing people doing less because?
Exactly, because they cannot be able to afford to do what they normally do. Instead of expanding, they are decreasing. So that has a lot, that has affected my farmers mostly.
So tell us, what was your average volumes? How many people are in your cooperative, and what was the average volume you do?
I have 10 farmers. We produce almost 1,000 bags of maize yearly.
That would be about like 0.5 metric tons, or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So you're not so you are thinking that this year you may do less.
Last year we did less than that.
So there's a reduction in production currently.
Drastically.
Okay. This is a question to the audience, not to them. The thing I bought for 30,000 in January is now selling for 45. So essentially, the cost is always passed down to the customers. So if that is the case, why are farmers not able to get the finance they need to be able to respond and be part of the people benefiting for this increasing changes in price? Because ultimately, transportation price will go to the person who takes the transport. So you can think about that. We'll discuss it at lunch. Let's go to Aisha Hadeja. Is your experience different? What's your experience in Jigawa? Tell us a bit about women in agriculture. What do you do?
Okay. Good morning, all. I'm Aisha Ibrahim Hadeja from Jigawa State. I'm the state coordinator women in agric. What we did, we are farmers, mainly farmers, both wet and dry season. And we also made linkages with the women processors, from women farmers to the women processors, so that when they grew, they uptake from them and they process. And also, we do marketing with the women processors. So what Napisa is saying, we have a little different idea with them, because in terms of access to finance, what we did in Jigawa, because our association is a sort of an apex body, the members are drawn from different group farmers, from groundnut, cowpea, millet, every farmer, both dry and rainy season, as I've earlier said. So what we did to address issue of access to finance, as she was saying, lack of funds, is that through Harvest Plus, we are now doing VSLA within the groups, whereby the women normally raise the money within themselves, and they give it a loan to one another and return it back in 6 weeks for somebody else to also receive. So it's not that they are not getting the finance. You know, the commercial banks and the agricultural banks, they do have this, what did you call it, know your customer. So that series of protocols of go and come back, normally discourage people from the community or female farmers from the community to access that loan. And even sometimes, they may not even give them, but they will give them almost 2 months to go and come back. So we have less problem of access to finance, as you were saying. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I want to just quickly ask, if today there's a change in policy, maybe the regulators who are driving biofortification, because biofortification is not a Propcom Plus thing, it's a national agenda.
Yeah.
Let's say the regulators, through whether Nutrition Society, Standard Organization of Nigeria, insists that all foods that go to the shelf, whether it's from the seed, it comes from the seed that becomes grains that are sold in the open market, or every branded product on the shelf needs to have its base from biofortified produce. What do you think, as a farmer organization, you would need to be able to respond to this demand?
Okay. So presently, we have already started with Harvest Plus. So what we are doing is Harvest Plus has linked some of our farmers to Premier Seed Company. So we bought the seed from them, then we plant it, and then we give it to the processors.
So you're kind of self-sufficient. Let's hear from.
Not self-sufficient as such, because we are just starting.
Yes. What more will you need to be able to plug into the demand that companies like, say, Wakot, Dangote, Flour Mill, who wants to engage and need specific varieties? What are the things that you think, is missing right now that you will need to be able to contribute to this chain?
Okay. So what is missing right now is uptake, because that is even the reason why we are linking the women farmers with the women processors. Like the cassava, the orange fresh cassava, when it was grown in Jigawa, there is no market, and the farmers end up losing. So the following year, when we asked them, they said, no, we cannot go back to that, no matter how nutrition it is. We cannot grow it because there is no off-takers. So our major problem now is still the off-taking. We are only doing this as a local remedy to arrest the situation.
I appreciate that fact, and it speaks to what the former, the last panelist spoke about. It's really about demand. It's demand that pulls supply.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Let's move to Nafisa. So I'm saying now that, assuming from a regulatory point of view, we now have a national policy that mandates or encourages every food that you see on the shelf to be something that is a product of a biofortified crop. What would your women association need to be able to cash in and be part of this supply chain?
Like now, my association, we are in cooperation with Seedco. They do give us the seed. We plant, yes, with Seedco. They have an office in Kaduna. So we get the seed from them, we plant, and then we have a flour mill that we, Olam.
You sell to Olam?
Yes.
Oh.
And animal feed too.
Oh, okay. So this is a good example of how demand pulls supply. There's a seed company responding. So it'll be good to hear from Seedco whether this is a commercial relationship or this is funded by some donor. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move to Amit. Amit, could you tell us a bit about your sourcing? Tell us a little about your sourcing strategy and what current challenges you are facing with sourcing.
Currently, we are sourcing from the aggregators, and down the line, those aggregators, they are buying from the farmers, female and male farmers. The basic challenges what we are facing is, first of all, these days, there is a scarcity of groundnut in the market, so prices are erratic, means it has gone up like anything. Second thing, the timely supplies also is a challenge. Then, to meet our specification means to meet our quality standards, that is also one of the challenge.
So, I mean, the farmers are here, the aggregators are here. What is it you want that you're asking of them?
Like a recent example, I am telling you that we have rejected one of the truck of the aggregator. What we have found inside the sack of that groundnut, stones were there, some metals were there, and it is full of dust. Means just to meet the these 100 kg bag, you cannot put anything. Okay, because ultimately we have to maintain certain standards, so our quality team, they are checking everything. So this way it is a time loss to us, money loss to us, as well as at the same time to them. So these are the challenges, means when our aggregators, they are off-taking from the farmers, they have to do the sorting properly and the grading properly. Means grading means the size of groundnuts should be similar, not like that small, big. They have to sort it properly. Like if we want certain size like 55, 60, they have to supply that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that I'm seeing Kemi looking like she wants to say something, but before she says something, please, I need to be corrected here. The size of the groundnut, or indeed any grain, is linked to the variety, correct? Aha. So Are there like specific varieties that you want, that you seek?
Basically, in Nigeria, we are having 3 or 4 kind of groundnuts like Kampala, we have Dakar, we have Bombay. So basically for our processing unit, we need Bombay and this one, Dakar.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Kemi, you were looking like you wanted to say something. So let's move away from production. But before we move away from production, I want to ask the women producer, do you do anything to post-harvest? Do you put any post-harvest investment into getting the quality that your aggregators are looking for? Do your aggregators even demand for any specific quality from you?
Yeah, they do. They'll specify
How
for
you-
okay, this is what I want. When you get to Sitco, they have like 3 different type of seeds. They will tell you, okay, this is this, this is this. You get what you want based on what you're going to supply. And then you plant it.
So yours is peculiar. You have a buyer who is specifying what they need, and
Yes,
you
I get
respond
it
to
from
that
them.
quality. So you're a great example. Let's hear from Hadija.
So our one is a little bit different because our one is a very large family, almost throughout the states. So we normally consider the type of soil we have in our own area. So we grew whatever we know that the
grow.
soil, yes, exactly.
So there are nuances and differences depending on your location, and that impacts on how you can participate in the market of really promoting nutrition-dense products and linking up to those types of opportunities.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much. I would want Dabs. I think from listening to you, what I hear is that there are a lot of external factors that influence how you do business in Nigeria. And it influences how you can even link up with the local supply chain, and pass value down to them. So, question for you. What do you think the body from the local regulators, what type of advocacy or what type of action do you think that the bodies that are invested in biofortification and promoting nutrient-dense foods, what do you think they should be doing in terms of advocacy and regulation? The local body.
Yeah, thank you. I think regulation does it for me. Yeah, because if you are going to bring products into this country, or if you want to do business in this country, you should be able to have some level of local content as part of the requirements from government that you should do, which I think some people are doing, but I don't think we are doing enough. Yeah, because we need, as businessmen, a businessman will go to where he thinks is better for him. But now, as it is now, for UNICEF and their sister companies, they're having fund challenge. They are not getting the funds as they should get. And from the statistics that was projected earlier, we are looking at about 50 million people in the circle of malnutrition, which what they are currently doing cannot, take care of that. Not having RUTF in hospitals or healthcare areas is a big problem. So what we are looking at, since UNICEF, because the last meeting we had with them in Copenhagen, they kept saying it, we don't have money, we don't have funds. Our donors are not really bringing the money. So if you are complaining your capacities are not utilized, there's nothing we can do about it. So we are looking at, okay, since these guys are not coming and we have capacity that is, like this, we are looking outside the bracket of those children who are malnourished. We have people, because in that bracket you have RUTF and RUSF. You have therapeutic food and you have supplementary food. So we are looking at, okay, can we do something that is lighter, mild, that is not used to treat a disease now, but maybe as a food supplement that will still be peanut-based and will be cheaper and people can just, eat it to boost their, supplement. So with that, since that will now mean that we'll be marketing to government and individuals, we don't need to now start following those stringent laws. So we are now looking at,
really exciting to hear.
Yeah, so all the raw materials for that, we would need
Locally
to source,
sourced.
local sourcing, so that,
Ladies and
price
gentlemen,
can,
a round of applause for
go
them.
down.
Here is the beginning of the thinking around offtake for biofortified produce. And I think this, thank you very much. I think this nicely segues to the question I was going to ask Kemi. One of the thoughts, thank you very much. One of the thoughts around getting food. So moving away from one global donor being the only buyer. It is about food, and it's about the food market. So positioning this as food, positioning it as snacks, looking at it from a preventive angle, and looking at it from a market angle. Not one buyer, but every person who has disposable income should be able to buy what supplements. The urban aspiring middle class can afford food supplements, nutrient supplements. The urban poor are less likely. They will eat empty food. Yeah. I dare say that the rural poor may even get better diet than the urban poor. Yeah. So this is why we think more around looking at products and produce that are available regularly to the open market. So Kemi, tell us what you're thinking around getting affordable food that offers this, what I call it prophylactic, but offers this preventive build-up for the type of micronutrients that we need.
Okay, thank you very much. So alongside producing, like I said earlier, we've really played in programming. And true to what the DAPS representative said, most of our hospitals hardly ever have RUTFs, hardly. You go to the hospitals and they have children on admission. Right in the hospital, they're being treated with the same PAP that they would take at home, other than the medical support that they get. So we have that shortage, and the demand is there. Now, like I said earlier, it comes to how we are looking at it. And I stopped off as saying that we came up and started looking at it as value for value. Because we're solving a national, global problem. But we're attempting to solve it at a national level, and that is value. You can look at it as nutritional supplement, that's value. You can look at it as problem solving, that's value. Then it's how you see the value that determines who is buying, right? Like Ia said that the only buyer they have up till now is UNICEF, and that's very restricting. Knowing that the problem is there, it's just that the buyer is not making the demand. The buyer that they have been constrained to is not making that demand. However, there is the demand. So what we have thought to do is that we could even go to, currently we're in conversations with banks where we're saying you have marketing budgets, right? And we're solving a problem that can give you social collateral. Can we give you social collateral and then you give us your marketing budget? We can convert that into budget to then make supplements, nutrition supplements available to these children and solve that problem. That's one of the ways that we're doing it. In other cases, we're speaking with governments and we're asking, organizations like them ourselves, because it really is a community challenge. We have to come together as an ecosystem to solve this problem or to leverage this challenge, as you might want to see it, because there's a lot of leverage. It's a smart problem to solve. It's a profitable problem to solve. So coming together, we're engaging government and saying, this is your problem to solve. We're happy to help you and support you in solving it. What are you able to give us? And how are we able to convert that into value that becomes profit for us? So we're setting up in some of those, because again, we're looking at sustainability. Someone had said that, can we get organizations that, NGOs to give seeds? And it's not sustainable. If they give seed the first time, the second time, how do we continue to sustain that solution? It's not sustainable unless government comes, private sector comes, and again, we look at how the value goes around, centered around solving this challenge. That's the only way we can sustainably solve the problem.
Thank you
that's what we're
very much, Kemi. That's really important. Value for value. Consider the problem as an opportunity for making profits. Any last words from Amit? Do you have products that are affordable the same way people buy biscuits and a bottle of Coke. Nobody thinks about Coke as nobody thinks about that. You reward yourself with a bottle of Coke, irrespective of the price. Can we get the things we consume to take our minds away from our interventionist medicine type view to placing products that are affordable and available that aligns with the behavior and the intent? Do you have such products? Do you have such last words?
Yes, we do have. Always we are keeping in mind the pricing of product whenever we are doing pricing. Like we have sachets of our peanut butter. It is available at very affordable price, like 50 naira per sachet.
Yeah. Hajia, do you have anything to say about this?
Yes.
I mean, if you have products like sachets of, I don't know, I'm sure a few other companies are here, sachets of things that are biofortified, are people able to buy and pay for these things? I think that's what I would like to hear from you.
Okay. Yes, we have them. Because in Jigawa, we have 3 stable crops that are biofortified. That's millet, iron millet, then the vitamin A maize, then the zinc beans, that's the cowpea. So as she was saying that most of our women within the farmers and the processors, we select a role model who process these locally available, affordable, accessible resources into IYCF. They even went to the extent of adding sugar, and then they package it. They normally sell it in the during antenatal and postnatal clinics in the hospitals.
Fantastic. How much does it sell for? How much does it sell for? How much is one sachet?
50 naira, 100 naira.
So what's this attitude of people can't buy, people can't afford, is a myth and a perception?
Yes. So what we are trying to show them mostly is things to do with hygiene. Because we know that this food is being taken directly, and we are treating children that have malnutrition. So there must be an extreme hygiene while producing. That is why we only select the role models in the PHC to producing it. And again, as you were saying, that is the Tom Brown with different kind of the iron with cowpea, then the other one with bambara nut, then the other one with carrot, then the other one with soya bean groundnut, and then the millet only, and then we have the other one with palm oil. We are given different varieties because of the children. Sometimes they may like the taste of this one, and they may reduce yes. So we have so many types of varieties that we produce, and we use both the methods. We use the dry and the wet methods.
Thank
and
you.
The only thing I'm saying is that we are very cautious of hygiene.
Thank you very much, Hajia.
You're
People
welcome.
are willing to pay. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause. People are willing to pay. The demand is latent. The interest is aligned to what they are willing to pay. It is available. But what everyone has said, it's about raising the awareness and the education. But not from you must eat this because it's good for you. It has to be demand-driven. It has to be demand-driven. When someone is demanding for something, whether it's policy driving it, causing industrial use, or, translating to aggregation and translating to what farmers produce. You heard from Hajia Aisha. Farmers produced the first year, there was no off-taker. There is no way, if you like, say all the nutrition story from now to tomorrow, there's no way they will produce it next year. So it's about what we are able to do with it at a commercial level. And it's really exciting to hear that big producers like DABS is looking at the much bigger markets of the over 50 plus million. We saw the number of health facilities there. Imagine if you have nutrient-dense sachets and foods across the over 60,000 health facilities alone. This is what Promasidor did. I like telling this story everywhere I went. I think this was some 15, 20 years when they were going to come up with cowbell. Before, people thought everybody could not drink milk because it only came in 450 gram or 500 gram. And then if you are somewhere in between, you know, aspiring middle class, maybe the C2DE socioeconomic class, you buy a tin of milk that you will use over 1 week, then it may spoil. Promasidor came and disrupted the market. What did they do? They mapped out all the corner shops in Lagos alone. Only Lagos. How many aboki is in the corner shop? If we break bulk and get each aboki to have 10 sachets, how much volume can we move in 1 week? It was a pharmacist that did that, by the way. And I'm one, so selling a trumpet. And based off of that, they decided to break the bulk. And everybody breaks the bulk now. And they did it cheaply. They used youth core members. So let's begin to rethink how we pass down costs. You can drive efficiency and optimize your system. So the main point here is that nutrition problem can be a value for value market that we can consider fitting into. Thank you very much, everyone. But before you go, any questions and comments for these guys? Oh, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll start from here.
My name is Awal Mohammed. I'm from Jigawa Atupaguro. I'm a farmer. I want to make a comment to what they have just discussed. From the aspect of any woman group who act as a these biofortified crops and producers. You know, now we are talking of irrigation facilities. In the morning, some past discussion discussed about that, which I know now is highly costly, because now if you wanted to irrigate risings 1 hectare, it will going to cost you almost about 500,000 for fueling alone for a period of 3 months. Yeah. And we know that a lot of women lacks earning capital or asset to access loan facility from the banks. But however, if we want a government, because government is championing for food security across the country, at state and a federal level, why can't you advocate, make sensitization, advocacy, so that government can try to see how they can improve on this thing? And the issues of this insecurity is also a paramount issue. Most of the states that they are producing this thing cannot have access to their farm. So those who have a stable area can be supported to produce more so that they can bridge that gap. And we have to, yes, and we have to address post-harvest handling issues, because most of the farmers, they can produce, but at harvest, because we are most of 80% of our farmers are not using mechanized means of harvest. There are a lot of chaps and stones that can go. At the end of the day, the processes, we are going to reject that product because it will not be good for their product.
Thank you.
Processing.
Thank you very much. 3 main things that are outside of our control here, but needs to be taken up in advocacy. It's insecurity, it's irrigation, and looking at post-harvest. So those are noted. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Once again, my name is Adeseko Adekunle Michael.
1 minute, sir.
1 minute.
Yes.
And I just have two clarification to be responded to from DABS and Agena. For DABS, what is the period for the treatment of these RUT, ready to use therapeutic food? You know, it's not every day you consume it. We've had, it could be in biscuit, it could be in liquid and all of that. So I think that should go into
nutrient dense, not therapeutic foods. No. They are different products.
Their own is nutrient dense. Okay, maybe I didn't get you.
Okay, he will clarify.
Okay, you just make that clarification. Then for Agena, the groundnut you use for your product. You mentioned the name, but I don't think I've ever heard of it in our national catalog. You say Bombay and Kambai and all of that. So where are they coming from? Dakar and all of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
You will know from here, go to Abuja.
He will
Are
respond.
they land races? Are they, just let us know
He will
kind of
respond.
material that
Thank
you use.
you.
Thank you.
Number 3.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amdomela from Gombe. I represent rural women farmers. I want to ask a question. How do we intend to scale up production at the rural level, more especially the women farmers? Because we have a lot of challenges. And one of our major challenges is we have limited access to information. Now, information doesn't reach us, and when you look at the whole thing, we have limited number of women extension agents because we have communities where men cannot access these women and disseminate information to them. And another thing is, when you bring these biofortified crops, the rural woman, when you don't demonstrate it for her to see, to touch, to test, she cannot just pick it like that. So the role of an extension officer is very, very vital in this very aspect. Now, after production, linkage to market, that is one of the major motivations for them to also adopt. They are not only going into production, but they are very sure of the market they have for these very products.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Noted. It'll be good at some point to hear what the buyers, whether they invest anything in farmer education. Okay, 2 more questions.
Yusuf Jidia from Nomonza Money Limited. So I have just a quick question for the processors around aggregation, the structure of aggregation. We have a few aggregators here that understand what the processors want, so it's easy for them to source those kind of products. But however, we also have a chunk of aggregators that do not use technology, but have a few things working for them. They have capital, they have relationship, at that rural level.
Yeah.
Now, do you buy from them, or do they have to sell to these bigger aggregators? That's one question. If you buy from them, what needs do they have to be able to meet up with your quality demands? Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was a hand there. Just 2 more.
Thank you. My name is Olumide Odewale. I work for VFG Microfinance Bank. My question is to the...
Could you just also answer the finance question? While
exactly,
asking?
to the MD of Whole 8. So you mentioned that you need to partner with the government, also the private sector. So I represent the private sector. The question is, do you have your business cases for engaging with the private sector? For example, a bank, right? Do you have your business case in such a way that I can see clearly that there will be value creation for you and also for the bank?
Thank you. Could you answer for the women, sir? Financing women production and producers. Okay, all right.
Okay, yes, so my name is Yonoju and I work for VFD MFB as well. So financing women, that's a huge part of what we do. We've done a couple of, I think we financed about 200 to 300 female farmers in the Southwest. I think it was for rice and for millet to plant. And we're very open to this conversation, so we're here. And maybe during the break, we can take it up from there. Thank you.
That's great to hear. Ma'am, I hope you heard that. There was one last hand. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha from Solvex. My question goes to DAPS. Since you locally source your product, my question is, since you have these specifications for the raw materials you source, how do you deal with the issue of aflatoxin? aflatoxins, they tend to affect the groundnut right from the field and also after harvest. So how do you control the doses of aflatoxins? That's it.
Thank you. Okay, last one. You can interact after lunch so that we... Last one.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Ann Ogeshku. I'm the CEO of Eson Chief Foods. I want to make a contribution on a BIOFORTIFIED food product being affordable. We, in Eson Chief Foods, we produce affordable, innovative food products using more of BIOFORTIFIED crops and grain. For example, in orange fresh sweet potato, we do a lot of confectionaries. You get donut of 50 naira, 100 naira. We have OFSP drinks, which is juice. We have in different size of can that will sell 200, 150, depending. And we have bread in different sizes also. But I also want to add to what Madam said about vitamin A cassava not having market. It's information. We have a processing company. We are in Northeast. We have a bakery and processing center in Gombe precisely. But it's serving Yola and Bauchi. Distributors picked up our bread, our products, and sell there, made with orange fresh sweet potato puree. 40% inclusion of OFSP puree and 60% of wheat flour. Now, when we were doing this, we have some vitamin A cassava odorless fufu we are doing in small portion. We did it in Anambra because we also, our headquarters is in Anambra. When we came into North last year, Gombe, some people love it, they tested it, but we couldn't set it up as a part of our processing center in North because we don't know there is vitamin A cassava in North. We made an inquiry, we tried. We even have Ask Harvest Plus because we partner with Harvest Plus. And they said they intend to bring cassava, vitamin A cassava this year in Gombe. Assuming if we know that Jigawa is producing vitamin A cassava, we have a lot of people that tested it, that like the odorless fufu, who were even advocating for gare because vitamin A cassava is rich. When you drink the gare, you have taken the required vitamin A needed in a body. So it's easy for Northerners to drink it as gare, the vitamin A gare. But we couldn't see the raw material, so we can't
you
process.
can form a relationship now going forward. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So over to you, those that questions are concerned. Adrena, there's a question to you, I remember.
2 questions for me.
Yes.
For you, sir. Basically, we are buying groundnuts from northern and northeast part of Nigeria. So basically, in those areas, we are getting that kind of groundnuts like Bombay, Dakar, and Kampala.
Yeah.
In other parts, I don't know, sir.
Please, the farmers here, are you familiar with those groundnuts he's mentioning? So, council, what's happening in council is different from what's happening on the field. You can discuss it later, sir. Sorry, for time's sake. We'll come back to you for time's sake. Thank you very much. Is there another question for you?
Second.
Yes, go on with your second question.
About the aggregation. Yes, we need more aggregators for expanding our business. For the kind information of this forum, we are expanding to Kano. We are putting one facility in Kano and we need more groundnuts. So certainly we need more aggregators. The only thing with aggregator, you should have a proper storage facility, proper ventilation. Put the groundnuts on the pallets, not on the ground. This will increase your life of the grain only. Yes, we need. And we can discuss one-to-one, sir, for aggregation.
Okay, thank you very much. Was there any other question addressed to you? Most of them were comments.
Yes.
Hadia, 30 seconds.
Okay. So to my daughter from Gombe, what I want to advise you in terms of access to finance, please start VSLA in your community. Because even if they say they will finance women in terms of farming, it's just a story. It's not sustainable. So please try and form this VSLA, generate the money within yourselves and use it in yourself for your progress. That is one. And another thing is that for the information, why don't you form an apex body like our own? The different women groups in the different local government will form a body in the state. You will have representative from each women group. It's a kind of coalition. You will be receiving information while the apex body is having their meeting. They will receive all necessary information, and they will go back to their respective women groups and step down the information. If you will wait for these men to give you information about marketing or price, they will never give you. They will never.
Thank you, Ajia. Apex is here, and some of the aggregators, they are promising that they are going to be helping with transparent information pricing. So it's not just in the hands of some people. So, yes, we acknowledge that. Final words from you?
Okay, so just to attempt to answer your question very generally, it's usually our conversations with our partners are usually tailored. Like I say, it's not general value. What's value for another bank is not necessarily value for you. But just to give you an hint, the unbanked women are the same women that have these vulnerable children that are malnourished. And there are a lot of them within the space of the general hospitals and the primary health sectors and the communities. And I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of them, just to give you an hint. But usually we have to come to the table, look at what value is for you, and then how we can give that within our portfolio. And it's usually quite straightforward, actually. So we may be able to have a conversation after now.
Thank you.
And just to close off, I'd like to say that the lady on the other panel had mentioned that when we come for meetings like this, a lot of things get dropped off. We have these conversations, and really, usually, nothing gets done about it. And it's not going to be good. I mean, Propcom has done an amazing work pulling us all together, expecting that we're all enablers, we're all catalysts, and we're all going to go out of this place within our spaces of influence and make the change begin to happen. So it's now up to us to go out of this place, to form collaborations between ourselves, go out of this place, and make the change begin to happen.
Thank you very much. Those are great last words. So over to you.
Okay, my first question, the period of treatment with RUTF. Like I said, because of the level of fortification of the product with vitamins and minerals, it is now in the care of healthcare professionals to administer that in treating malnourished children. Because they need to do an assessment first to see the level of malnourishment the child has and for how long they are going to, administer it. And at the point they have to stop and probably use food supplements. For those we employ in our companies that work with us, one of the things we tell them is that please don't eat this product because it's very sweet. If you eat it, it is not good for you, but they don't listen. Some people will just come to you and say, somebody that is very thin start getting bloated because, you have your minerals and your vitamins complete. And because this product is heavily fortified, there was an instance of a guy who, I don't know what went on with him. At lunch, he just kept leaking and eating and eating. And he started defecating uncontrollably, in the night. It was a very big problem, and I think they had to rush him to the hospital also. So it's a thing that is handled with care by healthcare professionals, and they administer based on the need of that patient. And once the patient has come out of the critical condition, they stop and start using some mild products for the patient. Then for aflatoxin and salmonella, these were some of the two major reasons why we could not procure locally at the beginning of our production. Because the local peanut, as they were, had high level of aflatoxin and salmonella. And I think at the point they started working on them. And, coming out of it, we had this issue of N3, N6. But as it is now, work is ongoing to ensure that we have those seeds that can meet this new specification.
And you are willing to give it to farmers locally to produce?
No, even WHO is working with some local companies. So once the seeds come, they give it to the farmers, these backward integration aggregators, they bring it, they process it, aflatoxin level, okay, salmonella level, okay. Then we are good to go in using for UNICEF. But for the ones we want to go into, it doesn't need to be as stringent as the one for treating the children. Why it is that stringent is because at that level the children are, their immune system is almost at zero level. They cannot fight any disease that is coming to their body. So anything you are giving to them should not contain anything that can harm them. But for those with maybe minute, that's not acute, they still have some level of immune system that can fight some of those foreign bodies that are coming into them.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much for your time. We just have a few minutes. We think that we should just end and go for lunch. So we want to quickly have Gain come over to speak about what they're doing to drive this process so that it gives us opportunities to have a conversation, deeper conversations with them going forward. And then we would wrap up, take pictures so that people who need to go and pray will have the opportunity to go and pray. Gain, please. Ehis. Please, a round of applause for Ehis. Ehis, you have 5 minutes. Yes. Please. We will have side conversations. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Is this the morning? Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Ovo. My name is Godwin Enu Eyawi. She knows why she called me Ehis. Okay, I work for the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. I work as a senior project manager for the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. I don't know if my slide is ready. So as we all know, GAIN is a big player in this space. We've been working in the biofortification space for a very long time now. And then we've been in different partnerships with different organizations. Harvest Plus, like you have all mentioned, used to be one of our partners. The major challenge for us is we are focused on reducing the malnutrition indices in the country and in every country we find ourselves. And so we have a department we call the Nutrient Enriched Crop Department. They are saddled with the responsibility of providing nutrient-dense varieties of different staples, different crops that can help bring down the challenge of malnutrition in the countries where we find ourselves. Is this thing working? Okay, so thank you. Great. So we have different projects we have implemented and still implementing that speaks to biofortification in different countries across the world. In my slide here, what we have here is the first one, which is the biofortification of iron beans in Tanzania. We also have the biofortification of zinc wheat in Pakistan, strengthening nutrition in priority staples in Nigeria, diversified resilience agriculture for improved food and nutrition security in Bangladesh. Now, Nigeria has been a very good space for GAIN. We have been trying our best to see how we can change the narrative of malnutrition in the country. And so we are using this vehicle called the Biofortified Food to do that. We just concluded a project called the commercialization of biofortified crops, which ran for 3 years in Nigeria. And so I can see a lot of stakeholders in the room here. We've interfaced at one point or the other during the course of our work in the biofortification space. The commercialization of biofortified crops, I'll just give you a very small snippet of that project. We came into existence in 2019 then, and then we closed in 2022. We covered 6 countries in the world, 3 in Africa and 3 in Asia. As you can see there, Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania for Africa, Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan for Asia. And the focus crops were maize, cassava, beans, rice, wheat, and millet. This project was implemented with Harvest Plus in Nigeria. And we made use of 2 pathways, the commercial pathway and the institutional pathway. And we're able to reach out to over 8 million farmers who grew biofortified crops. And then we also reach out to over 185 million consumers who consume biofortified crops. So now this is the thing. Somebody will be asking, where are these farmers? Can you see that huge figure there? Over 8 million. So when people say biofortification is new in Nigeria, I tend to laugh because in the last 5-6 years, a lot of work has gone into it, from Harvest Plus, from GAIN, to ensure that we create that level of awareness. But I tell you, it's just like saying we're just putting a drop in the ocean, a drop of water in the ocean, because the space is very large. And what we have done is just like saying we're just scratching the ground. But I want to introduce another project to you, which we are currently implementing in Nigeria, that speaks to all the challenges most of us here have put on the table. This is our pointer. My time is short, so I'm just going to I'll run through this because this is not an existing project. All right, so we have this project ongoing. This project is called Strengthening Nutrition in Priority Staples. Most of the seed companies here in the house today have supported this project in one way or the other. And then this project also is really changing the narrative in this space. This project is a holistic project that takes care of all the challenges most of the panelists have mentioned today. So it takes care of the farmer down to the final consumer. Every actor in the value chain of biofortified staples are affected by this project positively anyways. So the Strengthening Nutrition in Priority Staples project was designed to improve access and consumption of safe and nutritious foods in Nigeria. And this project was designed to be implemented through 3 pathways. And these pathways gave birth to the components of the project. The components of the project includes biofortification, workforce nutrition, and then the business support component of the project. The biofortification component handles production. So the farmers who produce these biofortified staples fall under this component. And then the workforce nutrition aspect of this project covers the health and the nutrition of every actor in the value chain, from the farmer down to the last person that works in the value chain. The workforce nutrition component takes care of that. And then the business support component speaks to access to finance. Most of you have alluded to that, that's one of the challenges we have in this space. It speaks to food safety, and it speaks to creation of utilities, that is product formulation and reformulation. So this is a holistic project. I want to thank Propcom because I have seen their strategy. The strategy speaks to most of all these things also. So I'm happy that we're having a partner come in to come and also support us in what we have been doing. It's a 5-year project that started since 2021, and we hope to close out in 2025. So with the coming of Propcom, it's going to help us to also solidify what we're doing. We're not able to reach out to all states in Nigeria. Currently, we're only reaching out to just 4 states in Nigeria. And I hear you're covering more states. And if you're covering more states, our joy will be complete. Because at the end of the day, more people will know about biofortified staples. At the end of the day, we're going to get much more impact than expected. Thank you, Propcom, for choosing to verge into this. Yeah. Okay, so I just want to make you understand something. I'm actually going to be using pictures to project some things and speak about some things. So when we started, the challenge we faced was, just like the lady said from Gombe there, most people will not take new inventions or innovations without them testing it. And so farmers, most of the time, will not want to plant these staples because they want you to give it to them. And the market system doesn't support that, does it? I heard when somebody said, give them seed, and another person behind me shouted, no, no, no. You see, that was the challenge we faced. And we came up with this idea of doing full market system. And then we noticed that these farmers will not. They won't pick it until you give them to try. And so we approached Premier Seed and Value Seed. Everybody has been talking about Seedco, Premier Seed, and they never mentioned Value Seed. I can see Mr. Sampson sitting behind there. Can you identify yourself, please? Good. So we approached them, and they were able to, we bought seeds from them. And we gave out seeds for the first time. So the approach we use is actually market system, but we actually made it available to them for the first year. And then we introduced what we call the community-based seed multiplication program. Someone spoke about it there. And so in each of these communities currently, after the first year, they now produce their own seed. They now continue to plant. And we don't go back to those communities to go and give them seed the next year. No. We move to other communities. And then we have extension agents that helps us to go back and retrain so that we don't just have an intervention with you for the first year and then leave you behind. So that was the approach we used. And since then, over 500 women and youth have been trained on good agronomic practices, and we've seen excellent results. We've established over 300 farmers who are community-based seed producers. We also have community stem producers, community vine producers. The stem producers produce stems, that is the vitamin A cassava stems. The vine producers produce the orange flesh sweet potato vines. 90 demonstration plots established, all these in 2.5 years. And then, just like Ayoade said, the thing is very simple. If you don't do social and behavioral change communication campaign, I tell you, nobody will look at what you are bringing before them. And so we've invested heavily on SBCC, both community-based and radio. Farm Radio International is one of our partners that helps us in the radio campaign. We have Center for Social Change and Communication Impact, CCSI. They are responsible for our SBCC activities in the various communities where we work. And then we introduced a new model. Very interesting. I saw this model in India like 3 years ago. And what happens in this model is very simple. We call it the door-to-door approach. We also call it the innovative access model. So this model helps retailers take these biofortified foods to the doorsteps of the consumers. Remember, GAIN is a nutrition organization, and our aim is to promote consumption. And so, if we want more people to consume biofortified staples, we must show them where it is. We must take it to them. And so we have the innovative access model where the retailers are trained and are linked to the source of these biofortified staples. And then they get to have access and promote access. The consumers get access to these staples from the retailers. And then, yes, somebody did mention that there is a need for processing. We introduced proximate processing. Propcom, I'm not taking the show here, but I'm just telling you so that we collaborate together. So proximate processing is very, very important. Proximate, like the name implies, close to, nearest to. So these farmers can now process this raw produce to different forms. Product formulation, new products are being formulated. You have different things that Esomchi just mentioned there on the screen. And so we have different products that have come out from these trainings. And we have new businesses that have been formed from these trainings, thereby promoting livelihood for all those who have taken part in these trainings. And I'll tell you something about this later. So different products, like I said, in order to have the biofortified staples, in order to retain the nutrients, the packaging is quite different. Someone mentioned that. So we need to be very cautious of the packaging. So we have trainings that speaks to packaging, marketing techniques, and business sustainability. And all those businesses have gone through the trainings, and they have new products. We can find these products in the shelves in different supermarkets now. And then I'm rushing my slider so that we'll save time. They said 5 minutes. 19 minutes now? Jeez. So these are some of the trainings. Food safety is very important. Someone mentioned the safety of these foods. Food safety is very, very important. If we want to turn out new businesses, we must ensure that what they produce is safe, what they produce are not poisonous. And so we train our processors on basic and advanced food safety and hygiene. And this also will help them get certified by NAFDAC. And so one stride we have achieved that is very, very important is our relationship with NAFDAC. Now, I just mentioned a lot of small businesses have started as a result of this project. They need to get certified. They need to have their products in the shelf. And so we've worked very closely with NAFDAC to train businesses to offer technical assistance on NAFDAC registration. And so over 30 businesses so far, and then they've gotten their products registered. Only day before yesterday, we were at a function in Abuja, and we saw so many businesses that have registered as a result of this project. And we're very happy and proud about that. Then, access to finance. This is where the problem is. I have seen a lot of, I've seen microfinance banks here. I think according to my boss, he used to say in my past life, that's in my previous places where I've worked with farmers, we've worked with different financial organizations, and then we noticed that it's kind of difficult because of the, I don't know, the lady from Jigawa said, come today, come tomorrow. And so most farmers don't want that. But I know that a lot of microfinance banks, thank God we have them here, are trying to help reduce that challenge. So, but for us also, we work with microfinance banks, and then we also provide seed funds that support these businesses. Somebody will say it's not sustainable. But the thing is this, we have a new product. And because we have a new product, we must ensure people come in and key in. And so all the businesses, most of the businesses we have trained, have gone through all the trainings that will make them strong, that will make them stay in business. And so we support them with funds to go and continue production. So far, we have given out funds worth over 70 million to businesses. And then, very importantly, we also are working with young people who are very innovative and have come out with good innovations that support supply chain efficiency. So what this means is, from the farm gate down to the table of the consumer, there is a need for efficiency so that we don't have a break in the chain, in the supply chain. And so you might have an innovation that speaks to even cold chain storage. You might have an innovation that speaks to circularity. You might have an innovation that speaks to traceability. And so, young people who are very good with tech have benefited from this. They have benefited from this. In January, we gave out 4 million naira each to 4 young minds who have given us technology or innovations that can support supply chain efficiency. We did same last year, and then this year, we also did same. Before I say thank you, we have the micro grant fundings. This fundings is for businesses who now have products like Esomchi has products on the table. And they need more money to continue. Only day before yesterday, we awarded 46 million naira to 16 businesses across the 4 states we work in Nigeria. This money is expected to be used for their production activities. They are called seed funds. So what I'm saying, colleagues and friends in the room, we are doing a lot of work, and Propcom has come to support that job we're doing. And we're very happy to partner with Propcom to see how we can reach more people, affect more businesses positively, and then most of the key players in the room today can also benefit from this partnership and this relationship. So we hope that we can, after this call, or after this meeting, we can link up, we can connect, and then work together. Somebody met me behind and said, you've not worked with me all this while. And then I said, this space is very large. It's very large. So we're good, we're privileged to all be in the same room today. And so we can connect. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Please let's give Mr. Godwin another round of applause. From what he has presented, we've seen that, again, they are doing amazing work in this space, and all of us who are seated here present can partner with them in one way or another. At this point, we would just like to say a few words to sort of close off the meeting. Thank you very much for your time. I think from the discussions that we've had here, we've seen that there's a disconnect between what's happening on the field and what some of us feel in our offices. So this session is for us to connect. We need to share information with each other. We need to, look for ways that we can collaborate across various sectors. Propcom is here for you. So our work here is basically to ensure that our partners are getting the most value for the work that they put in. So Propcom is here. All of you that were identified and invited to this event, we see you as potential partners going forward. So we are an 8-year project. We are just starting implementation now. So we are going to be following up with every single one of you here to identify interventions that we can co-create and implement within this space. So thank you very much once again. After this event, you will receive some follow-on email from our team, and we'll take up the conversations from there. We encourage you to speak with players in the space, your colleagues in the room, network, share ideas. I've seen a lot of conversations happening in at the back, here and there. So we really want you to continue that conversation. Just on a final note, so we have this barcode on the screen for us to conduct sort of an exit interview. So we want to get your thoughts on how the event went. Was it relevant to you? Was it relevant to your space, what you do? And then in terms of the operations, are you satisfied with how you have been handled, how you have been welcomed and treated here? So we encourage you to please scan the barcode. It will take just less than a minute to answer the questions on the exit interview. Thank you very much once again. Sorry, just one last thing. So we have some light snacks also at the back, which came compliments of the company. That's Providence Hotel. And then we have lunch. Lunch will be had at the restaurant inside the hotel. For our brothers and sisters who are fasting, we've made arrangements for you. Your meals have been packed or will be packed as takeaways. They are on it right now. So thank you very much once again. Thank you for your time. Sorry. So the last session is for group pictures. So we need to take pictures, take a group picture, take individual pictures. So my colleague Teresa will anchor that session before we proceed for lunch. Thank you very much.